where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
Alrighty. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning. Just turn my mic up. There we go.
How's it going? How you doing?
Tired, but you know, been a little bit of a busy weekend.
Yeah. Same here, same here. I had an excellent workout yesterday, so I'm recovering from that. I think I worked out a little too hard though. Got like I woke up with like a headache. You ever get a headache from like working out too hard? That's not a good thing. Never a good thing.
Were you just like dehydrated?
No, I felt it when I was working out because I'm trying to do like super high intensity, like super heavy weight.
Oh, so like heavier weight, less rep.
Yeah, heavier weight, less rep. So basically I'll do like, I'll warm up a little bit, do warm up set, but then I'll do like just one set as heavy as possible for like 8 to 14 reps, max weight, and then move on to the next exercise. And then I'll do that, and then I'll take a break for like three days, maybe even 4 days, and then then go back at it. It's a new method, not a new method that I've created. This is,
Yeah.
people have done this in the past. It's supposed to be pretty effective. I'm testing it out. And in Monero news, gratuitous news, we finally got the eggs going.
Oh shoot!
Yeah, it's
Whoa.
super. This, we've been working on this for a long time.
Is it a different supplier?
So this guy's in Tennessee. He's from the Monero community. We've been speaking to him for like well over a year. There were some bumps in the road. We tried shipping it in a different type of packaging and it failed. It was packaging that we actually copied off of somebody that already is in this business of delivering eggs. And we copied it pretty closely, but I guess not closely enough. For whatever reason, it failed. And then the project stalled, but then we got back on track. And then we found this new packaging that's like literally built just for the purpose of delivering eggs. It's like these egg cases. We get it from China.
Really?
So
that's
gave
cool.
it a shot. And actually, my heart was broken because the package was supposed to be delivered yesterday, and it wasn't here. It showed as delivered.
You were just waiting for it to show up.
And United States Postal Service said delivered, and it was not here. And that's like never really happened here before. We always get our packages. So I was like,
Sure, like it just it's on.
Yeah. So apparently it went to our neighbor. So it was really funny because I was calling up Sunita. I was out of the house this morning. I was like, I can't believe we never got the package from yesterday. I'm like, maybe go check downstairs today. Maybe it came. And then like as I'm telling her that, our door buzzes. And it was a neighbor who didn't speak a lick of English, but we were able to put the pieces together and gather that he received our package and he didn't have it with him, so he ran back and he brought it to us. He's like, "Here it is," and we got it.
That's amazing.
So I will do an unboxing. I guess should I do it now? Should I do it now? Should I open it up now?
Yeah, I mean.
So this is the moment of truth, guys. Whether or not the eggs survived. Yeah. Hold on a sec. Let's see. This thing is literally designed for this purpose.
Moment of truth, guys.
Truth. Let's see. I almost dropped them. Okay. Slide it out. Oh yeah, this is thing. I could see why it like so. It's got
Packed
foam.
tight.
Yeah, it's packed perfectly tight. Here they are. Sunita's moving the camera. Perfect. Let's see. Okay, can you see there? Hi there. All right. They looks like they survived.
Oh yeah, yeah. Wow,
They
those
survived.
are some. It's just custom cut foam. Just
Yeah,
for egg size.
this is straight from the farm, guys, with the bloom still on. So the bloom is most, when you buy your eggs at the store, they wash the bloom off. This still has the bloom on it, which is what allows the egg to stay preserved. So you don't have to put these in the fridge. A lot of people think you gotta refrigerate your eggs.
And so this guy from Tennessee, he's willing to, and he's able to actually ship these.
Correct. Yeah, this
Nice.
is mission
Awesome.
accomplished right here. This is
Wow.
test case. I will now be the next test will be eating them. I'm sure they look good. They look delicious. They look legit. Yeah. Fantastic. So you will very soon now be able to buy eggs with Monero on Gratuitous.
Yay!
Oh yeah. So happy. We're getting there. Soon you'll be able to live off of it, guys. We're so close. Eggs, coffee. Just a few other things after that, and you're pretty much good to go.
That's facts.
All right. Sweet. Yeah, I don't know when we'll kick it off. We'll probably kick it off slowly because he only has so many chickens. He delivers his eggs locally now to like stores and stuff. So he'll have to slowly ramp up, and we'll probably only take on like a few customers to begin with, and then we'll try to ramp it up a little bit. All right. Cool.
Awesome.
But yeah, let's move along. I think we're gonna have a long show today because I know there's a lot of news and I know there's a lot of price action. So let's get it
out this week. Yeah, let's jump into the price report.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Local Monero. Avoid using KYC exchanges. Buy and sell Monero directly for fiat, peer-to-peer.
Hey guys,
Bawdy, what's going on, man?
Yo, Bawdy.
congrats on the packaging. Looks really cool.
Yeah, so excited. It's the simple things, man. It's the simple things.
So if you've got like little bits of chicken feather on the outside of the egg, that probably means the bloom is intact, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We do.
Cool. Yeah. It's actually like here in Mexico, you just go to like quite a number of stores, maybe not like a regular supermarket, but some of the small corner stores, like a lot of them still have that on.
Yeah. Mexico, I would think it's a typical thing. It makes sense, right? Like, and then you don't have to refrigerate them; you could keep them out. But
yeah, a lot of times you'll go into the store and you'll see eggs on the shelf, not refrigerated.
Yeah,
Right.
I remember that. That confused me at first when I went into like a supermarket, and the eggs are just kind of out. I'm just like, huh? Supposed to refrigerate this? Well, like the U.S. does this. I think the U.S. is like, are there any other countries that actually does that, or is it just the U.S.?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, it's government. It's just a perfect example of government getting involved and fucking things up, right? It's like just ruining a good thing. I mean, without saying too much, I don't know how legal it is to be sending eggs around without the bloom washed off, but I'm going to assume it is legal because, right? I mean, how could it possibly not be, right?
That evil bloom! How dare you?
I mean, what's so crazy about it is that it's allegedly these laws are about protection, but really they should only be about disclosure, right? If you sell something that you didn't disclose properly that's what you were doing, yeah, I mean, then maybe you could be liable for like some kind of damages or whatever, right? Like, okay, on the outside of these eggs, there could be extra bacteria and stuff that might, that you might need to be worried about. Maybe you don't want to eat the entire outside of the shell. I don't know, which is something some people do actually. Right. So it's like, it's the same thing. Like we talk about the SEC and crypto regulation or any kind of thing. In my mind, it's just about disclosure. People should just know what they're getting. Whereas like it's odd because then the government will often just fight disclosure, like in the terms of GMO products. A lot of times, I want to say that the FDA has ruled certain products to be substantially equivalent with no differentiation or risk from the non-GMO product. And so like in some cases, I don't think GMO products are required to label them as being GMO.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Eggs, I mean, they've done, studies, right? So people that have access to good eggs, literally, societies that overall have access to quality eggs have a few IQ points higher than societies that don't have access to eggs. It's such a vital, important food. And yeah, even that government kind of gets in the way of you and direct access to it from the farmer. It's sad to see, right? Just another example. And it's pretty sad that we gotta have to like try to figure out on our own how to go get around it.
Yeah,
but we'll do it.
That's one reason I really like. In some ways, I like Mexico. In some ways, I don't. In a lot of ways here in Mexico, a lot of these laws and a lot of this kind of bullshit is still 2 or 3 decades behind, simply out of convenience, right? It's kind of sad at the same time, but, a lot of people don't have cars. A lot of people, they're just poorer here in general, which is, in a way kind of sad, but in a way, like the necessity of life and convenience keeps things like cash, right? There's a lot of people in Mexico that are just totally unbanked. So cash is like an integral part of the society here. And it's pretty much what I use anywhere I go. And it's, just practically speaking, to remove cash from society here in Mexico would be a massive leap. It would be really difficult to do that. And you'd get a lot of resistance. You'd probably, the people would probably start protesting and rioting pretty quickly. They love to march here. At least you get a lot of marches and a lot of protests.
Monero UK just sell the eggs for dog consumption. Exactly. I guess there should have been
I like
more.
that raw milk
Should have been
workaround.
more clear about that. That's precisely what we're doing here. So. Obviously, buy your own risk. These are for your pets, not to be consumed by humans. Although they're probably the best and healthiest eggs you possibly could have if you were to accidentally consume them. But yeah, no, these are eggs being sold for Monero for your pets.
There you go.
Very cool. One thing I wanted to mention. You said you got kind of a headache from working out. If you have like a few intense workouts in a row. One thing that can happen is like, and I'm not saying this is the case. It's happened to me a couple times where like I have kind of an extra layer of fat because I've been living an unhealthy lifestyle, for let's just say the past month or something. And then when I shed that layer of fat, especially if I do it really quickly, to like jump back into the gym, good diet, restricted calories. If your body has stored any excess toxins inside that fat, that shit can come out and into your bloodstream, and your body could like get rid of that kind of at one moment. So you'll kind of feel sick for almost, maybe a day. You'll have like a headache, like some flu-like symptoms, but it'll usually pass within like 24 hours.
Yeah, that could. Well, I think, but it was an exertion thing. I felt I was lifting. I felt it while I was lifting the heavy weight, so it kind of scared me a little bit. Like I was doing like leg press with like a ton of weight on it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what kind of exercises do you do?
Yeah, I was doing legs. I was doing like leg extension for my hamstrings, like super high weight, and then I jumped straight from that to like a leg press with a lot of weight. A lot.
Legs, I think that explains it.
Yeah.
I
was like,
deadlifts are always the ones that get me. Like I've only been sick maybe 2 or 3 times from lifting, and deadlifts were always involved.
Yeah, I just can't do those super heavy anymore because of my ankle injury.
Shit.
But yeah, deadlifts are the best if you could do them. That's fantastic.
How's your ankle healing up?
It's good. It just will never be the same. I can never go super heavy because I have that cartilage issue, So they try doing what they can, but it will never be the same. So if I go super heavy, I'm just gonna re-injure it essentially.
I can't remember, but did I ask you about? Did you get stem cells? Like, was that part of the operation?
No, they didn't. They took some bone marrow out of my hip, and they
Yeah,
they used that.
yeah. That's so. I've heard that they've done that for quite a long time because bone marrow is high in stem cells.
Mhm.
Man, you might get a lot of if you have any cartilage left at all, you might get a little bit of help from stem cells just injecting that joint.
Yeah, maybe I'll try it out. I mean, unfortunately, the doctor said what he screwed up. Well, not what he screwed up on, but he said the situation was a little worse than he expected, so he wasn't able to get the stem cell paste or whatever we're calling it, whatever he put in the divot of that was missing there of cartilage. He wasn't able to get it to stay. He said it was kind of slipping out. That was ultimately the issue. So, but whatever. I'll eat my eggs. I'll be good to go.
Okay. Well, can you guys see my charts here?
Yeah, big week compressed, right?
Yeah, we have more divergent action between stocks and crypto. Gold pumped, stocks dropped all week long. Stocks dropped, and crypto pumped, which is kind of odd. So I guess we'll take a look at all that, and then we've also got the yield curves are starting to. The inversion has almost gotten back to zero. They're massively correcting. In fact, this was the biggest thing that kind of stuck out to me as I was reviewing the charts just this morning. Is that we've been talking about this yield curve inversion coming back to normal. You've got all of the long-term yields now that are starting to spike up pretty heavily, while the short-term yields are all still flat. And you'd be surprised to know that this is very similar to what happened in 2008, where so here's 2008. You'll notice that we've kind of got this big dip happening. Hang on, let me switch to. There we go. Got the brush. All right. So we had this big dip happening here, kind of flatten out, and then it started coming to the upside. And so it was a similar thing where you had flat short-term yields for the most part. In fact, and this time the short-term yields kind of dipped down while the long-term yields all dipped up. Now that still wasn't the major crash. The major crash didn't happen until somewhere right around here is when it really started dropping. You know what? Maybe just to be more specific, let's just overlay the S&P 500. All right, the candles are the S&P 500. I realize that's a little bit, oh crap. Sorry about that. Got to put this, I got to pin this to a new scale. Usually there's an option that allows you to pin it to a new left scale. Okay, here we go. All right, the candles are the S&P 500. And so you'll notice that it actually technically made a higher high even as rates started dropping, and even as the yield curve continued to correct back to something more normal. So again, this is starting to develop a similar pattern that we're seeing here today, as we saw back in 2007. So it could still be until next year before any major recession hits. You'll notice that technically the green here is recession, the big green box. That's when the recession technically started per whatever the government says, which is, I guess that's close enough. But so yeah, we had this big correction where long-term yields finally corrected back above the short-term yields, and then everything started coming down pretty, just substantially coming down as stocks topped out. And let's see how much of a difference was that. That would be 1,500 down to about 1,300. So that only looks like 15% drop, at first. So it's not a perfect comparison. Let's go back to the current moment. So it's not a perfect comparison. You've got a few things that are different, right? The federal funds rate is still slightly below the lines up here, the short-term yields. But we do have this correction that's happening. It hasn't actually, the long-term yields haven't actually gotten above the short-term yields yet, but we do have this pattern continues to develop. So that's something, again, keep an eye on. It's a long-term pattern. Just keep your eye on that. Maybe once a week, even once a month is a good thing to check out. Let's go ahead and take a look at crypto a little bit, because that's kind of exciting. Volumes are on the bottom here. So this is the ETH BTC chart with combined volumes. And effectively, we haven't, the combined market caps haven't really gotten back to their all-time highs, local highs, but Bitcoin actually has been looking pretty good. And you can see that on the bottom here, this is the GBTC premium, the discount. So it's still negative. It's still at -12, but man, this thing keeps steadily closing, steadily closing. I think it's because people do expect that the ETF is going to be approved. The SEC lost their case against Grayscale lawsuit. We talked about this, I think, maybe a month ago. The court ruled, and then I think the SEC, they lost their appeal, saying that, hey, you were acting capriciously, you were acting, you were not like giving the proper consideration to the Grayscale application for a full spot ETF. And so that news is one of the big things that has caused this this gap to continue dropping. And this gap is something that we need to see continue to close to even hope for a bull market. As long as this thing remains negative, there's just no chance like that the market is going to have like the kind of strength or even the psychology, like the sociology of it, to convince people that, hey, it's time to get in the market. So that's a good sign for price. We'll put that away for now. So Bitcoin right now, let's see, that's the 8-hour. Right. Okay, so even overnight we've had some big movements. Let's go to the daily. So Bitcoin is currently breaking above this very large triangle here. So this line right here was kind of one of the last lines. I would say that the most shallow way you could draw the line just by cutting through that, cutting through the October-November pump from 2021. And then you've kind of got like this big triangle pattern that's forming here. And right now, Bitcoin looks like it's trying to break out of that. If we look at the dominance, I'm sure that the dominance has got to be continuing to go up. Yeah, even in the last day, dominance continues to go up. One thing I would look at here and ask myself, is there the potential for a top? We've got the, all right, so there's kind of like the trend line at the moment. 2-point trend line isn't that significant, but you know, you could still draw it just to check it out. But the thing in my mind that I'm looking at here are these moving averages. You'll notice that this moving average cluster is kind of like, that should be a significant resistance point. Although what you'll notice is that dominance got up to this area and then pulled back, and now it's encountering this very long-term moving average cluster again. So the way in which it's moving there gives it a higher chance to actually break through that. So that's really like, that's totally possible. And I do think that a lot of the hype, you got to give it to Bitcoiners and maximalists. There's a big group of them, or they're the biggest group in crypto of any coin. And they really do a good job of shilling things that are hype optimistic that might not be entirely grounded in reality. So right now I'm talking about BitVM. I'm talking about CTV, and CTV is actually very powerful. The things I've looked at that it could potentially do seem very powerful. They're intuitively powerful. The short way to describe it is that basically, if you want to send me funds, what I can do is construct a UTXO that has a whole bunch of future transactions built into it. So what I would do is I'd construct a whole bunch of future transactions to people that I want. I would hash the entire like mass of those transactions. And I would drop that hash into my UTXO receive address. So when someone sends me funds, now I've basically encumbered how those funds can be spent. Now that sounds kind of like, okay, cool, far out, bro. Really tech nerdy kind of stuff. But the kinds of things that it enables you to do are very powerful. From like security, from the ability to have one UTXO that like has a future transaction that's a cold storage UTXO that's like that's never funds that have never been on chain. And then you can also still at the same time split that UTXO out in future transactions by revealing them, and you can create like networks of transactions. And like it's interesting. It's like, as with all layer 2, there is complexity that is involved that's going to need to be solved if it's going to be useful. And then let's see. Oh, and then BitVM. So BitVM is like their big thing. Like, oh, we can do anything. I can do anything. You can do better. To Ethereum and any other contracts platform, which is ironic because, you know, just 2 months ago, they were telling us how horrible and awful contracts are and why everything should just be scripts instead. But now they can do everything that everyone else can. So apparently all those things are really awesome now. So the thing is, they're still constructing like little tiny things that work, and they're trying to put the blocks together so that they can build more contracts. It's still an optimistic system like Lightning Network. You still have to come back to main chain and drop the proof of the thing that you did onto main chain, and you have to hope that the person is telling the truth. Otherwise, you've got to challenge them, and if not, there could be these kinds of attacks like you see with Lightning Network, with like flood and loot. But there's flood and loot's just like one type of Lightning Network attack where there's not enough main chain capacity to actually like settle the dispute on chain. And so you can get these different kinds of attacks that really have made Lightning Network difficult and cumbersome in ways for developers. In fact, just a couple days ago, one of the a long-term Lightning Network developer said, "Hey, we implemented some mitigations for this. I don't know if it was a pinning attack. I can't remember which one it was. He listed a whole bunch of them in this kind of write-up, and he said, "Listen, we've made mitigations for these, but advanced attackers could still take people's funds." And so he said, "Hey, I'm done. I'm not going to work on Lightning Network anymore. I feel like these problems are fundamental, and I'm not sure we can ever resolve them. But if I'm wrong, maybe someone can correct me or show me exactly where I'm wrong. But for now, I'm going to quit working on Lightning Network development." But anyways, excuse me. Anyways, so the point is that regardless of the reality of the situation, how difficult the implementation is going to be, you've got this new thing in Bitcoin, and people are really excited about it. And even though it's probably going to take 3 to 6 years to actually build anything that might be useful, and even though you got the danger that everything's going to crash, that doesn't matter. A lot of the hype and shilling is still going on, and I think that's a big part of helping to send Bitcoin dominance significantly higher. But as we talked about before, I think the fact that FTX is not here to rescue shitcoins is a big deal. I think the fact that Binance is on the ropes is also a factor in that. So it's, because obviously FTX and Binance, their primary thing is shitcoins, shilling shitcoins. So anyways, Bitcoin right now.
Before you move on, so what do you think about this LN thing? This dev that came out and said he saw critical issues with it. Does it look like that's legit?
I think so. That's kind of been my primary complaint about Lightning Network for a very long time, is that fundamentally with small blocks and constrained block space, you are susceptible to attacks the moment that anyone actually starts using Bitcoin. And we saw with the explosion of ordinals and how when the fees went up, and it doesn't matter that it was ordinals, it could have been for any reason. But when fees spiked up back in March or April, you saw 20% or 15% of Lightning Network Bitcoin just got it just left. And you saw these different kinds of attacks, and then suddenly people were saying, "Oh, wow, it's dangerous." And we're like, yeah, some of us have been saying this for a very long time. The fundamental problem is that when you have an optimistic system, you need block space to resolve any potential disputes if someone tries to take your funds. Because effectively, I can lie and close the channel in an old state where I have the funds. I sent them to you, but then I try to close the channel in a state before I sent them to you. You need to be able to get on chain to do that. I think that this Lightning Riard, what's his name? I can't remember his name. Someone Riard. He's been on Lightning Network for 4 years. Let me look it up here because I posted about it. Antone.
He's the guy. He's the guy who's leaving the project, right?
Yeah, he's the guy saying, "Well, my involvement with the Lightning Network development I'm going to halt my involvement there." I think it's legit. I think it's just a dude saying, "Hey, many of these types of attacks that generally involve mempool congestion, although the most recent attack didn't involve mempool congestion." He said the attack vector was "Hey, you can do this even without mempool congestion." And they solved the easy attack vector, but he said, "Listen, we still can't solve an advanced attacker could still drain funds from Lightning Network." And there's just all these attacks that have been documented. They've tried to fix them, but they're mitigations. They're not real fixes. They're all mitigations that make it harder, but they involve quite a lot of hoop jumping. I think it's legit. A lot of us have been complaining for years that these kinds of attacks are going to be possible, and that if you ever had a significant amount of funds in Lightning Network, that this would happen. I've been saying for years, hey, just prove it to me, right? Show me 500,000 Bitcoin in Lightning Network. Show me 200,000 Bitcoin in the Lightning Network, and have it not be funds not be drained or attacked for, let's just say, a year or two. If we see that, and you can actually get onto Lightning Network and everything's still functioning, well, then maybe I'll actually become a little bit of a believer. But I want to see the actual proof of it in the wild, that it's actually working and not susceptible. And so far, we just haven't seen that because no one's adopting it, probably in part because of these problems and because Lightning Network is just cumbersome in general. You could ask Seth for more info on that. He actually plays with Lightning Network. I just read the people that play with Lightning Network and the some of these papers and attacks and whatnot. So my knowledge is more theoretical on that, but Seth would be able to give like really good hardcore knowledge on his experience.
But you don't see it becoming FUD that actually affects Bitcoin price and outlook, right?
No. For the meantime, no, not at all. One of the things so you got CTV right now is they need a soft fork. They need a new opcode, op check template verify. So the thing where you're like constructing a bunch of future transactions and taking that hash and embedding that hash into it's like embedding it into your UTXO or something like that. I'm sure that's probably not the exact mechanism, but you can think of it like that. Like colloquially, that's fine. That's like a template of transactions. That hash is your template. And so check template verify effectively is the soft fork that they need to do that. I'm sorry, what was your question? Ask that again.
No, I was just saying, do you see this potentially actually affecting Bitcoin's outlook and price, this FUD?
Oh, yeah, the Lightning Network, no. So with check template verify and with these like BitVM and stuff, you got this like renewed promise that channel factories could become a real thing, right? Instead of, because that's another big complaint. How do you actually onboard the world? Even Taj Dryja and Joseph Poon have explained the math on this, that you need like 50, 100, maybe 150 megabyte blocks to actually onboard the world to Lightning Network, which Bitcoiners, I feel like I was a part of that push for the last year to like try and force them to admit that you can't actually, you can't actually onboard the world. And they kept saying channel factories. And like, what channel factories? What are you talking about? And they could never give a real answer, but you could actually, there's the promise with CTV and BitVM that you could potentially construct massive channel factories that one transaction opens a lot of channels for, say, 1,000, 1,000,000 people at once. And that each of these people could individually leave that massive channel opening without forcing everyone else to close. That promise now exists, and there's probably quite a few different constructions. The ones I've read, I say once, I think I've read two. I haven't been convinced. Those don't look to me like, the game theory on them doesn't sound right to me. It doesn't smell right. It sounds like there's weaknesses and sort of like this hoop jumping and monkey dancing that you have to do to try and get the thing to actually work and be reliable, which is why I wonder. So anyways, no, I don't think it's going to affect price. None of this technical stuff matters. It doesn't affect price because Bitcoiners don't care about technical stuff. They just care that someone wrote a paper. I shouldn't say Bitcoiners because a lot of them are Monero people too. So let me go with maximalists. Sorry guys, I didn't mean to trash anyone that's that's pluralistic in their thinking. But anyways, maximalists, and that's a big part of like the loudest group. They don't care about that stuff. They don't pay attention. They just see someone wrote a paper that said you can do Turing completeness, and they don't understand it's an optimistic system. They don't understand the complexities involved with the implementation, and that it's going to be years before you actually see like real products that are probably like practically useful. And then still, even then, those are going to be simple products, not complex ones. But they're really good at the game of get out there and talk about it and get everyone excited and pump the price. And then of course, the guys kind of behind the scenes love to leverage those social moments to pump price when they can. So right now, I think there's a lot of that involved with price going on here with Bitcoin, with the price pump. There's the promise of the new things that could be coming. And there's also just the anti-correlation that we see with the stock market. Like stocks have gone down, uncertainty is creeping up. We see the gold price. Let's go to the gold price. Gold price has really like, could this be any more scammy? They just like smash it down and then suddenly come back up, right? This smash down here was that's got to be artificially induced to some form or another, and then it just like massively came back up. So hopefully, if you were looking to get some gold, some PAX G or some physical or whatever, like I said down here, I was like, hey, 20 to 30%, that would be responsible to get. We might come down to this area, but with this reaction to the upside. And I wouldn't necessarily expect that gold's going to make it down here now. Like that's very strong action. It is kind of at resistance, right? You've got the gold price sitting here at the upper standard deviation bands. Plus you've also got, let's go to the weekly. Plus you've got kind of like this long-term line that you can draw. And I guess we got to go to the monthly. Let me turn off the wave magic. It makes the charts take forever to load when we do that. Yeah, so then you got kind of like this other important line right here. And you'll notice I kind of have it drawn two different ways because you've got the top of the wicks for the very, very top line, but then you've also kind of got like the, I do it where it's like either it's the close price, in this case it'd be the monthly close price, or you at least get two wicks that are in the neighborhood of that area, right? So this is actually a connection point because you've got really you got one 2-3 wicks here. So even though the close price was down here, it's kind of like, yeah, but you got 3 times in 3 months got up to that same area. So that really kind of, in my mind, is a place to draw a line. And then obviously you've got the close price here as well. So that's where price is currently sitting at this big green dildo that we had for the past month of really 3 weeks of October. So I think that it's possible that Bitcoin and crypto is currently starting to act a little bit like gold. I think the realization is starting to set into the market. People are starting to say, hey, the Fed is like recently this week, the Fed talked about how they're probably not going to raise interest rates because the bond yield curve, the way that this yield curve is working out, where all these long-term yields are pumping up. Jay Powell said that Jay Powell, the prime ghoul himself, said that the way that yields are pumping is effectively acting as kind of like a rate hike in and of itself, and so that there's no need for them to hike rates. So they've got a meeting coming. It's not next week. I think it's in like 10 days. Yeah, so it won't be next week. It'll be the week after. So they'll probably hold rates steady there. Maybe they'll get one more rate hike. But the point is that I think the market is starting to realize that the Fed is about done raising rates. And that, we're kind of like topping off here, and everyone, like the market has had like 2 decades to digest the way that these moves happen. The Fed hikes rates, comes to a flat top, the yield curve corrects back to normal, and then things go into a recession and the stock market falls. And I think that people are starting to become antsy that a recession could be around the corner. The stock market has been quite optimistic for quite a long time, but it certainly didn't do that good this week. One thing I wanted to show you guys was the comparison to when the war in Ukraine started. So this vertical line right here, that was the date of the Russian invasion. That's when the Russians invaded Ukraine. And what you'll notice is that you got basically the day that they invaded was a big green dildo to the upside. The market had gapped down on a Wednesday. And then the news of the Ukraine invasion sent the markets up, fucking the war pig trade. And then there was kind of like this reversal to the downside and then like another big pump. Now, it's dangerous to try and just overlay the price action. But we had a very similar thing that just happened right now. So you got basically near the bottom, and then the Israel thing happened on October 6th, I believe it was. Was it October 6th, a Friday? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was the 7th, or maybe it was the 8th. I could be wrong about that. Anyways, the timing is, still somewhat slightly congruent. It's like, again, with the fact that we know that these guys Israel stood down. They knew that the attack was coming. They wanted it to come. It's like the dancing Israelis of 9/11. They were very aware of it. It's like when Netanyahu said that 9/11 was good for Israel. They knew it was coming, at least at certain levels. So anyways, stock market's pumped on the Israel war, the Palestine war, or I should say probably Gaza war. The West Bank doesn't seem to be involved. I don't hear that in the news anywhere. Anyways, but things kind of came back down to their starting point. Maybe these lines, these dotted lines you see, these should be pretty strong support lines in general. And you'll notice even price right here where the war broke out and right here are pretty similar levels. So that's just kind of an interesting thing to keep in the back of your mind here if you're a stock trader. You still kind of got this support line, which technically has been broken down, but stocks, you'll notice stocks can break down these lines all the time. This thing could rebound to the upside next week. I think the head and shoulders is still kind of in play. It's at least for the S&P, right? Shoulder breakdown, retesting the neckline, and then now it's come back down. That's not this is not good action in general for the S&P. I would still say your higher risk is to the downside more. I don't know. Maybe they'll figure out a way to pull a rabbit out of a hat or something. And you've got the same kind of action here. Oh wait, that's the S&P, NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ is actually quite a bit more optimistic, but it's still basically failed at where you would expect it to fail, right? So this uptrend line here, this big channel that we've talked about now for a while, this channel right here, and saying, hey, really the market's got ahead of itself, and to get back into this channel is probably healthy, long-term sustainable price action with minimal inflation. So it does seem to me like that's important, that needs to happen. So right now, Bitcoin price is looking optimistic, but to me, this isn't quite confirmed. Like, you'll notice I got quite a few lines drawn here on this downsloping resistance. Again, let's take a look at that just really quick, right? You can see that tested it there, testing it here again. The fact that it's testing it twice in a row like that, kind of like boom, down, held support, and then boom, come up to the upside. You really want to see this thing break and then hold this area here. If it does not, that's bad price action and signals a move to the downside. So because what you got here is a descending triangle. These kinds of descending triangles, like if price were to come back down into this range here and then do something like that, you could expect this thing to break to the downside if that happens. That would be a very clear sign. That would be a very clear chart pattern in my mind to probably even take a short. So you really need to see the Bitcoin price break out here and then hold it for the next at least week. Like, I want to see this thing close next week above this, like if we're going to try and put the bull trade on the table. Now, if it does that, I'm probably going to have to go 50-50 and start getting exposure to the market or a little bit more exposure to the market just to make sure that I don't miss out in case this thing decides to pump some more. Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Yeah, Ethereum's been losing. It's broken down this descending wedge. You know, I had some of the lines drawn on here, and I don't know where they went. Maybe I put them somewhere else, perhaps. No, I got to figure out where those lines went. I meant to do that yesterday, and I just forgot to get around to it. Okay, so that's about all we have, except for obviously Monero. Now, Monero Bitcoin, kind of as Bitcoin has pumped, Monero has broken down from, like, we kind of made it out of this pump thing. We still seemed to be capped off, you know, by this like horizontal area of significance. You'll notice that we have that we got this line drawn as well. Yeah, I mean, I don't like this. It does make the fact that Monero doesn't go along with Bitcoin does make me a bit more suspicious, but at the same time, I have to ask myself, okay, you see the GBTC premium closing. Who's buying that up? It's probably some institutional investors, and those guys probably aren't interested in Monero. So I would normally want to say, oh, well, Monero isn't going along with Bitcoin, so is this fakery? But when you consider the GBTC premium closing back to zero from being so negative, I've got to think that that there is a significant organic component to that, even though it doesn't seem to be represented in Monero. One thing that we did see that's kind of like really disappointing is the Monero dominance. Like, we really want to break this line, and it's kind of like, you know, almost broke it, almost confirmed it, and then, you know, kind of came back to the downside here. So, you know, maybe we can look at what we can do is take XMR, which is the market cap of Monero. All right, let's take that. There's two XMRs, so I don't know why it always does this. You have to type it the long way. CryptoCap XMR divided by total 2. All right, so we're going to look at, we're going to exclude Bitcoin. We're going to take a look at how Monero is doing relative to total market cap. And right now, like, it's hard to, I need to draw some lines. I need to examine this chart a little bit more. Maybe we could turn on some wave magic. Perhaps it's not going to work. Maybe we might need to do like a multiplication thing here. Times, let's just say 1,000,000. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, Monero's, but overall, in general, like for the past, let's just call it few months, Monero's been holding its own relative to basically everything else, right? To the rest of the crypto market, market cap, Monero's been doing just fine, right? So we're still kind of like holding in the upper area here. So overall, like Monero's still like been a pretty good coin to hold. We've got XMR, Ethereum has been, you know, going up, like doing pretty good. So the other thing that we've got here is Monero versus the dollar, obviously, but there's not much to talk about here. Volumes have been falling for quite a long time. You know, I don't like to see this. The white here is the 4-week. We're on the weekly chart, so the white line here is the. Is it a 4-week? I think it's a 4-week moving average of volume. 5-week moving average. So yeah, our volumes are pretty low. This is Kraken, obviously. So the primary place you would trade Monero for fiat on an exchange is Kraken. So, but yeah, price hasn't really done much. So there's not much to talk about with Monero US dollar. We have been going up with the rest of the crypto market, so that's nice. Really, again, this kind of area is a place that you could expect resistance, kind of like it happened here. And a lot of crypto charts look like this. You've got these, you've got the long-term standard deviation bands, and you just see ranging. It's just up and down, up and down, up and down. At some point, this will break out. You know, our hope is obviously that it breaks out to the upside. But yeah, right now it's just kind of it's light positive action. Things look optimistic for crypto. Things look pessimistic for stocks, and things look optimistic for gold, even though gold is kind of at a bit of a resistance right here. So that would be kind of my summary overall here today. So that's all I got for you.
All right, buddy. Thank you as always. So not much Monero action as usual.
Yeah, exactly. Monero's kind of, stablecoin area. Someone asked me here, XMR Pirate, last time. So Congress bought into defense stocks for Israel, got attacked. I need to go check that source. It was I saw like a PDF or a screenshot of the report, but there's like some kind of report that gets generated. I've seen the report before. Like looked at the link and like, oh shit, okay, this is like an official report. I didn't look at this one. I just like, okay, I just assumed that the screenshot was good enough. It could be fake news, bro. I haven't checked into it personally, so maybe I should do that. I'll try and remember to do that this week.
All right, definitely. Can you stick around today? Because I'd love to get your input on what we saw with the what was it? It was the U.S. Treasury that came out, right?
Yeah. Was it the? It was no, it was FinCEN. FinCEN issued a recommendation for rules that they want to see made, and very broad language. They seem to just be getting more general and broad with their language as time goes on.
Yeah, would love to get your input on that. What you think? I mean, do you foresee any potential impact on price, or are you starting to see, are we seeing any inklings of that? I mean, obviously not, right? When we look at the price here, but
if it gets implemented, I don't think that would be a huge price impact. To me, it kind of just looks like more of the same.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead. It sounds like you had another question.
Well, is it because you feel like that sentiment is already priced in? Like those who are already scared of that potential reality are already out of the Monero market, whereas those that are in Monero, using Monero, don't really care, right? Where they're ready for whatever may happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and even like across the broader crypto ecosystem, they've been issuing these legal kinds of attacks since the beginning of the year, since March, since February. So I think that any new news like this it's not like hugely impactful, especially because it's FinCEN just issuing a rules recommendation at the moment. It's not actually like requiring anyone to do anything. So, and I think by the time that might get implemented as a rules recommendation, it's funny how news will be one time in one scenario, it'll be contribution to the downside, and another scenario, it'll be bullish. So hypothetically, if this gets implemented, say a year from now, and these legal problems start getting resolved, and you start seeing ETFs and you start seeing institutional FOMO, narratives hit the news again. This news with FinCEN, once they actually make the rule and actually say, hey, y'all need to implement this within 2 years, what you'll see is people say, oh my gosh, regulation, finally, the Wild West days of crypto are over, and the institutionals can get in and they can adopt organically, and we can see our bags pumped to the moon, which is, all the maximalist ever wants to see anyways. And I mean, maximalist across every coin.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much. And
cool. I'll stick around, bro.
Hope to hear from you later. Cool.
All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks.
All right.
I guess we'll do dev report next.
Yeah, let's do it.
And now for the Monero development segment.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Comrade, what's going on?
Well, as I already told you before the stream started, I kind of scratched my eyes out during my sleep, so
Jesus,
that was nice waking up today.
We got to get you Monero mittens or put Monero socks on.
Yeah.
That sucks. All right, well, hopefully you can perform today. It's there's some big news, right? We've had some big news this week.
Yeah, there's big news, and those are involving a need of knowledge in C, which I really don't have. So I'll just say the news, and I'll include credits for the links.
Yeah, you
So-
don't have to get super detailed in terms of how things function on the most basic level. Just kind of give us an overview and understanding, more so for the noobs, right? Like what the impact is of these changes, particularly with the
Sure.
random thing.
Sure. So there's random X update to v.2, v1.2, sorry, and Monero GUI. That's code name is Flora and Fermi is 0.18.3.1. So yeah, these are really the most complicated updates that I don't understand either. So the GCC 13 compilation is basically, I think Monero had some bugs during the compilation for the C GCC compiler.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even know it had issues with GCC 13.
For the optimized randomX reciprocal and the JIT compiler, it got updated from 64 bits to 32 bits. I don't know why they did that.
Do any of these changes have anything to do with trying to further improve the ASIC resistance aspects of RandomX? I assume they do, right?
I don't think so. I think that really improved with some of the surface updates. And I know. So basically, there was the Antminer that was featuring ARM CPU, and the way I don't think that this has anything to do with ASIC resistance is because the JIT compiler for RISC W or RISC V is an ARM architecture, so they're basically kind of helping ARM CPUs to function better. I mean, it's probably for Macs and other stuff, but that helps the Antminer X5s too. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
And for example, Raspberry Pis too. So.
Okay. Yeah. If anybody has deeper technical knowledge on what the implications of these things are,
it's mostly just architectural changes and fixes for compilation of RandomX. So, like, if you're building it from source, it's just fixes for that mainly.
Mostly.
Okay. So no real impact on how it functions and.
No impact on the ASIC protection whatsoever. Yeah.
Okay. We'll get to see development nonetheless. Would love to get Tevador back on the show at some point.
Yeah. We need to reach him somehow. He does the most complicated updates. Well, I mean, the repo is his, kind of, so. Okay, so Flora and Fermi updates for GUI. The daemon improved the ring CT cache, basically added it, so the last 8,192 rings, ring CT signatures are cached, so that speeds up block propagations. Here's a bit of a feature here. So this is without the ring CT, and this is with the ring CT update. So it's basically
oh wow,
yeah, and here's the block tests. So these are really high.
So just to be clear, this is for the new this is for the GUI, right? For the Monero.
Yeah, for the GUI daemon.
Okay,
so the background process of it. It's
effectively running faster.
Yes.
Very cool.
They have refactored the Rx slow hash function, the code, and added the Monero RandomX full environment variable or value to make the GUI forcefully use the full Monero dataset for the POW verification that produces the block verifying, of course, faster.
Okay.
If I say V sometimes is because the in Hungarian, the W is just basically V. We pronounce it like that too. So.
Oh yeah, in Polish too. Yep.
Yeah. There was problems with the peer discovery pingback, so some peers didn't really ping back on their own, so they fixed that. And I don't know what Dandelion is, so of course, again, we need Theodore for that. Does anyone know, or
Yeah,
can anyone reach him?
We'll try to get him on. I mean, Dandelion plus plus is basically what's Tux. You could probably better explain this than me, but is what's used to on a network level disguise where Monero transactions are propagating from.
Yeah.
Yeah, it tries to hide like the IP address and stuff like that. It tries to obscure network level stuff.
Thank you. So
I don't know what that had to do with the GUI, but
yeah, it's the daemon of the GUI. So there's the GUI wallet. There's the daemon that's running in the background. For example, fetching node stuff that you don't see by eyes.
all right. So
and of course there's the wallet. Yeah.
Okay.
There's some DNS resolution bugs that was fixed in this update. So some hosts probably didn't resolve well, and they fixed that. Oh, Handehausen, hello. And they of course did a cleanup for the whole update, and they added new seed nodes, which I will get here quick. 1 second. Oh, I have the link in there.
Hunter House is saying, I think the random X update was the first step to improve verification time and proof of work process.
Probably. 1 second. And I will show you the new seed nodes. So here they are, thanks to Pavlov.
What is this now?
So these are the new confirmed IPv4s of the online nodes, and these are the I2P and the Tor nodes, of course. So these are the basic seed nodes, I think. That's that your own Monero node connects from the beginning to get the block updates and for the fetching.
So like the air quote root nodes, I guess you could say.
Yes.
So those were updated?
Yes.
Why is that?
I mean, they are confirmed to be online.
Okay.
Okay, and there was a problem with Trezor connectivity issues on Windows 11 23H2, so they fixed those. And the Monero blockchain stats omitted data from the final day some way. Of course, they updated to OpenSSL 1.1.1t, so that's some security updates right there. So we were on OpenSSL, I think 1.0, and they updated to 1.1.t. The minor bug fixes, which they don't mention, and I couldn't really get info on. And here comes some happy announcements. So here are the current project that we can look out for. Of course, you've spoken with Luke. He will come on the show sometime. He doesn't really know when because he works delivery and he works like 70 hours a week. He needs to find an IT job, but he can't. So anyone who has some looking into jobs or is an HR, please let him or me know so I can tell him. He's based in Virginia. And as we talked about it the
Wait,
last
what were
episode.
the other projects you had on there? Go back.
Sorry, what?
Go back to Monero
So-
Business Wallet, Monero Payment Request Standard.
Yeah, they so he updated the way that subscription wallet works, and it has there was a code which you had to paste in to make donations frequently, and he updated that protocol.
Awesome.
And as I told you about it, next week we hit 3 million block height. So I don't know who did the clap soundboard, but can we get that again?
Yeah. $3 million. All right.
Yeah. The sad thing is that we really are going down in hash rate. So before last week it was like 3.3, then last week it's 3.16, and now 2.71. I think it's because they are the N miner is tuning lower on their testing for the X5. Maybe in the future it will
I
increase.
think that's just general trend, like weekly trend. It kind of goes
yeah,
up. And
maybe,
down a little bit.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's hard to on a weekly basis. It's hard to really gauge.
But with the transactions, we are going up and up. So last week on the 13th, it was like 23,000, and now the 20th it's 24,500. So for the node amount, I couldn't get any more new info. The Monero.fail /map website is still saying this amount of nodes. So if anyone knows a more precise website to look for the node count, please let me know.
Yeah, I don't know, Tux. What do you have any thoughts there? Where's the best? How's the best way to kind of figure out how many nodes are out there?
I think Monero.fail, right?
Yeah, it's displaying this same amount for over 2 weeks now.
Oh, really? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe not. That's weird. I think it's really hard to.
Yeah.
I
So
don't-
how they do it is they have a node with like unlimited peers set. So they are using a recursive algorithm to count the nodes. I mean, the peers connected to their
that
node.
makes sense. Not a great way, but it's a way.
Yeah.
I guess there's really no good way.
Yeah.
All right.
After all, this is Monero, so we don't want it to be so public.
Yeah. Sure. Comrade, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. And we'll keep moving. Let's get the viewers on stage up here, and then we got a bunch of news stories to go over.
Yes, thank you, Comrade. Oh yeah, and programming guy said, "Oh wow, ARM64 and RISC-V support." This is pretty cool because there was not building support for ARM and RISC-V for RandomX before, and Antminer actually, like, they ported RandomX to RISC-V because there was no official support for compiling it. So I guess that's partially why they went out of their way and had support for it.
Okay. Good explanation.
So,
all right, yeah, let's get if anybody wants to come up, comment on anything they've seen so far, and then we'll get the news going. You guys can chime in on the news.
It's the Viewers on Stage segment. It's that time where we invite you, the viewers, up on stage to comment on anything you've heard so far today, ask the guest a question, or maybe talk about one of the news topics. Come on down.
All right, we got Drunk Dial Me. He hasn't been on in a while. Alaska, or Alex and Arco, and Shortwave Surfer. What's going on, guys? What's up, Drunk Dial Me? Is he there?
Hello.
Is it just me, or did the hash rate have a super spike here recently? Because I've noticed that my miner has been a little bit less profitable, and I looked, and it seems like the hash rate spiked from like 2 gigahash, like 2.5 or 2.4, whatever gigahash, to like almost 3.5, like real quick.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it today or when?
It's been in the past week or so.
Yeah, the last week had like 3.3, 3.5 gigahashes. We've dropped now to 2.7.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gone down a decent amount over the past week.
Yeah, no idea what that's from. Drunk dial me. What's going on?
Oh, and also someone in the chat said they just Googled it, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture requires the eggs to be washed.
Oh well, luckily we'll only be selling them for pet consumption. So
Yeah.
we should be good there. Alessandrodkt, you there?
Yes, I am. What's up?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. And I want to use this opportunity to be on stage to pitch a meetup that I'm organizing.
Oh, please do.
Can I present my
Yes.
screen?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So for those who know me, they know I'm really into developing stuff for Monero and around Monero. And so I coded a little website for the meetup.
You are using Brave too. Nice.
Yes. So this is the website for the meetup. You can go to moneroof.info. OF is short for Offenbach, where the meeting or the meetup will take place. This is very close to Frankfurt am Main, which is like a very big airport. So I hope there's going to be a lot of foot traffic that may be interested in the meetup. And it's scheduled on the 9th of November, so in about 3 weeks. It's a Thursday evening. We start around 6 o'clock. We will open the doors, and then I guess around 7, I will give a short talk about Monero. I don't know about what topic yet. And then we will have a Q&A or open discussion and just hang out. And of course, pizza and beer will be included. For beer, my employer, where the meeting is taking place, is kind enough to sponsor it. And pizza will be sponsored by Vic from Cake Wallet, who has also said that he will do a giveaway. So yeah, I'm just really excited. And for all the people who live in Germany and may be able to make it, you can join one of these channels here. So I created a Simple X chat group where you can join anonymously. You know, Simple X, you don't have to provide a phone number or email address. It's completely without user ID. Then there is meetup.com, which I created a group just for visibility. I know it's not as privacy friendly as Simple X, let's say. And I also have an email address, and it would be super cool for people who plan on showing up to just let me know so I can kind of get a grasp of how many people there will be. And yeah, I also created an RSS feed that you can subscribe to. This is basically just for me to push out new stuff if the meetup.com's thing doesn't work out. And yeah, that's about it.
Beautiful. So this is the first Monero meetup in Germany? No. Yeah.
Well, not really. I mean, there's been meetups in Room 77 in Berlin, but with Corona, the room kind of closed down and stopped operation. So the meetup also stopped. And yeah, right now, I don't think there is really any meetup, but we from the conference, so we got a group of Germans there, and like you've had some of them on the program before, like Hundehausen or Alex Schmidt. And we're kind of connecting now and just want to give this space for the community to connect and hang out.
Fantastic.
Out of context question, what OS and what desktop environment do you use?
I use NixOS actually with Qtile as a tiling window manager.
I never heard of it, but nice.
Oh, Nix is cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
really love it.
the DE.
The DE is really cool because Qtile can be configured in Python. So for me, this was a very easy way not to learn like another configuration language or syntax.
Oh, then I'm switching immediately.
Yeah, it's really nice. And it supports Wayland as well. So, but I'm still on X11 here.
Awesome.
I gotta ask before you go. I mean, what's your feel? Or is there growing Monero adoption in Germany?
Yes, but I also feel it's really like spread out and not really coordinated. Which, I mean, it's totally fine, but I think it's also great, like with conference, so just to meet other like-minded people and like have that in-person interaction, because it's just like it's really irreplaceable. Virtual is cool and all, but meet space is also really nice.
Definitely for what we're trying to do here too, right? Because it's all about building up a community of people that essentially that want to opt out. So the more we commiserate, meet each other, the more powerful that becomes. I always ask people in Germany how's it looking with Monero, because I just feel like it's the perfect society for early adopter adoption, given the strong usage of cash there and the importance of cash.
Hey, Bedhog, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, you would think so, but on the other hand, the German people are somehow very obedient towards authority, and I'm a little bit more like on the pessimistic side when it comes to that. But there is also like there's very bright minds here and very great engineers, and I think the tradition of German ingenuity, like when you look at the stuff that comes out of Germany from people that I've never heard of, like for example this Monero-chan plush doll. Like I thought it was so cool, or what Hundehausen is doing with like the Monero suite, where you can configure your stuff. So yeah, I think it's just about connecting the people, and I think there is more than you would expect, but who knows. All right, so anyway, I gotta jump out. I'm cooking again. The domain for this website here is moneroof.info, and yeah, the meeting is on the 9th.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for jumping on. Give us the update, and yeah, happy to spread the word. Very exciting. Comrade, if you don't mind, can you exit, because we have, I think, our special guest that's trying to jump on, and our backstage is too full.
Sorry, can you repeat?
If you don't mind exiting the stream, just because we have too many people, and I'm trying to get our special guest to join.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Sorry about that.
No, it's backstage. It's full.
Yeah, we got 12 people.
Yeah.
Message saying no one else can join.
Yeah, I'm leaving. See ya.
Or Alaska Anon, if you want to jump off. Comrade, you could stay up, I guess, because they're just kind of hanging out backstage and not up there.
Oh, Alaska Anon
jumped out, and I think
hopefully now our guest can join.
All right, do we want to run through the news while we wait for our guest to come up?
I just messaged them to try joining again. It's up to you.
Yeah, let's do. Well, and Anhdres, I don't know how much time you have. I don't want to. Okay, he's giving the thumbs
all right.
up. Yeah, so Tony, let's do the news. Tony, you're good to go. You could jump up. Everybody's on stage. You could stay on stage, and we'll wait for our guest. And hopefully, when the news wraps up, he'll be ready to jump on.
Hey guys.
Hey,
right.
Tony. What's going on?
Hey, let me run that segment.
Yeah.
And now for our weekly news segment.
All right.
Okay, everybody. My room is a mess because I'm moving stuff around, so there's not gonna be any camera.
No worries.
Okay, so let's. And I'm back in the US now, so we share the same.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Oh my God, the flight was so long. It was like a whole 20+ hour operation.
Oh yeah, you had a transfer in a couple of places, or what happened
Yeah,
there?
just because like before you used to fly you had just one connection, but now it's so hard to get one connection. Like you fly Munich, then you go into Frankfurt, and then you fly out instead of just like one.
Oh wow.
When you come into the U.S., the proper response is not welcome. It's I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's no. The response is like, okay, who are you? What do you want? Why are you coming back? It's crazy.
It's like prove your innocence.
Yeah, and like I come back with like 2 pounds of cheese and medicine and all the stuff, and then they ask me, "Oh, what is this? What is that? Blah blah." Oh, man.
Who are you planning to kill with the cheese?
It's funny.
I do see we have our special guest waiting in the green room, so that's good. So go ahead, Tony.
Okay.
Let's move it along, and then
Okay.
we'll have the guests jump up.
Okay, so we do have a lot. We have a lot in terms of CBDCs. We have a lot in terms of the Israel conflict that is happening right now. So we have a lot of stuff to cover. The first thing, actually, we're going to start off with Argentina. So the Argentine central bank to introduce digital peso bill as soon as possible. Now, as soon as I understand, there's two candidates for next year for the presidential election in next year. One of them allegedly is Bitcoin friendly, Javier Milei, and then there's the other one, Noguera, which wants the project, which is the CBDC, to be presented as soon as possible. So one is pro CBDC, the other one is Bitcoin friendly, but he has publicly proclaimed the dollarization of the Argentine economy. Noguera, which is pro CBDC, he discussed that he defends the idea of a CBDC because the key feature of the CBDC is its traceability, which would allow the government to collect taxes. Now, of course, it's nice, to be able to collect taxes, but if they were used for the correct things, such as education, infrastructure, and not to fund horrible things like war and so on, and to use our money for nefarious actions. So it's gonna be interesting. I'm really curious of who's going to win next year. But yeah, Argentina is on to CBDC. Then we also have actually, let's discuss Finland. Finland is also on the CBDC. They work on instant payment system and they embrace the digital euro. The Bank of Finland is coordinating the creation of a Finnish instant payment solution compatible with European standards. And it's a short article, but this is what they basically talk about. The possible introduction of a digital euro would give consumers the option of paying with central bank money wherever electronic payments is accepted. So they're working on their own solution. Argentina is working on their own solution. Then we have, actually, let's discuss this one. The ECB officials move to preparation phase for the digital euro. And what is interesting is that every single time they use the verbiage, well, though the issuance of a digital euro is not a certainty, and they use the same verbiage in the US, officials with the European Central Bank are moving to the next phase of the project. So I feel like they do this on purpose. They say, like I said in the past, it may not come, we're working on it, we don't know, but of course that is going to come eventually. They're just trying to play it off as if they don't know, but of course it's going to come. And they also are trying to play the fact that, oh, you're going to have the CBDC, but you're still going to have the euro and the dollar, so you get to choose. But you get to choose for a while until they force you to use the CBDC, such as in Nigeria with the e-Naira. It wasn't used before. It was 0.5% usage, and now jumped up because they're forced to. But in an October 18th notice, the ECB said it plans to start laying the foundation for the possible issuance of a digital euro beginning on November 1st. So it's all coming very soon. And then they did post on Twitter, and I have it here as well. With a digital euro, you would have an additional payment option that combines the advantages of a central bank money with the ease and practicality of modern digital payments. What's in it for you? Find out more. What's in it for you? Surveillance, negative interest rates, and many other horrible things. That's what's in it for you.
Can you play the video of what's her name, Lagarde?
Christine Lagarde.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do this one now. Okay, so let's play. So she said, the euro is key to our European unity. A digital euro existing alongside cash will future-proof our currency. It will be safe, easy to use, and free of charge, while the decision whether to issue a digital euro will be taken later. Again, we're not sure. We're now launching the preparation phase. So that means that it's coming. So let's watch the video now.
The digital euro is on the move. Yesterday, the Governing Council of the ECB approved the opening of the preparation phase. It will be a journey, and we will walk the journey together with the legislator. All European institutions will be involved to make sure that Europe is equipped with the currency of the future. Cash is here to stay. You will have all options, cash and digital cash. So what does it mean for you? For consumers, it would be free and easy to use everywhere in the euro area. All of that, of course, is subject to the legislative process. Cash or digital, the choice will be yours. You euro, your choice.
For now.
I feel like I'm back in 1995 watching like a movie about the future.
Ah, good old propaganda.
And here we are.
Euro, your choice.
It's arrived, guys. These are no longer the movies that we watch on TV.
Don't tell me this doesn't look like the beginning of some of that movie, like the Hunger Games or something like that. The crappy chroma key in the background. What's going on with that? I mean, like, is the European Central Bank or something? Cannot they afford better quality video? Once dependence, like I didn't notice the how you call that the jewelry he has on the elbow.
Oh yeah,
like shining all the time with little sparks of color. It's just like an evil something. It looks like one of those things that you see on disaster movies at the beginning when you see like in the TV in the background. It's like from now on everything's what the fuck. Nobody
for the coming dystopia.
Nobody tells them that it really looks and sounds like very dystopian, and kind of make it more friendly, like some green in the background, like kids running around, something like that. No, they have to do it like this.
You will have a choice, guys. She says you will have a choice: the euro or the euro.
It's the future,
always
guys.
have a
the
choice.
old lady
You are
said it.
in or out of the system.
What's interesting about the digital euro in their proposal, they're talking about an offline cash-like option as well, where people will be able to transfer a bearer asset peer-to-peer offline using hardware. This was also talked about in the U.S. I forget what the proposal's called. It's the eCash. It's called like the eCash Act. We had Rohan Gray on the show on Monerotopia like 2 years ago. I think he actually is the guy who drafted this proposal that was then passed in the U.S., where they're researching this concept. But we're seeing it now as part of what the EU is looking to do. So I don't really understand how the tech is going to work, but supposedly they've figured out a way to transfer digital cash peer-to-peer offline.
Yeah, and
I don't know if you guys all picked up on that, but that's pretty interesting.
No, it's very interesting, and I like how Andreas mentioned Hunger Games. It is like Hunger Games. You get to choose between this weapon and this weapon. Your survival depends on it. The choice will be yours.
And as always, it comes with the disclaimer, as it's cash, it's digital cash, but it's as long as we're able to prevent terrorism and money laundering, so whatever protections need to be in place for those purposes. So. Mm-hmm. That's the opener there for how they're going to have the excuse and the tech to track and surveil everyone. But it's cash, guys. It's cash.
The way they mention what's in it for you, not good stuff. And then one more thing with CBDC. So the EU data protection regulators urge anonymity for smaller transactions in digital euro. They wanted to make it in such a way so that in small transactions, there's not going to be any form of traceability. Now, of course, if they really want to, I think that they can even trace that as well. They say the authorities also strongly recommend establishing a privacy threshold for online transactions below which offline and online low-value transactions are not subject to tracking for anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism. Nice. So you can buy bread and they won't know, but if you buy two, they may will.
Yes, yes. For which online and offline. See, so they're proposing that they figured out a way how to do offline digital cash transactions,
which is huge and very important.
But not for criminals.
Yes, but not for criminals.
Yeah.
But you can always buy like 1,000 separate breads.
Yeah.
To pay for a car.
What if they track like how many breads you bought and they're like, Anhdres, you bought 50. That's enough.
You have hit your bread quota for the week.
Here.
No more bread for you.
No more bread for you.
We have a saying here in Spanish that is something like make the law, make the hack or the cheek or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically, yeah, you put the threshold on privacy and then everybody just makes a bunch of really small transactions, and then you limit the amount of transactions per, I don't know, item class that you can do. And so then people like start buying bread and tomatoes and stuff for fake. So it's like it's really like how you call it, like a worms race.
Can you imagine if you buy like an apartment and let's say it's like 50,000 euro and then you can only transact anonymously for 100 euro and then you say, hey, so how much time you have? Because we have a lot of transactions to do.
Let me batch a bunch of transactions. It's a good thing that Monero has low fees.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah, so that's with CBDCs. Again, just notice how they say that it may come, but it's inevitably going to come. Now a bit of Monero. So enhance your network and support decentralized communication. Pay with Monero to get whitelisted so that your timeline is free of spam, bots, and toxic Bitcoin maxis. So pay Monero, not for relays. It's pmnr.xmr.rocks.
That's it. Is anybody trying this? Anybody use this?
I haven't.
Interesting concept. So the idea is by paying it eliminates spam and you're getting just Monero related content.
Yeah, no toxic Bitcoin maxis.
There's a GitHub project it's like a pre-built Nostr server that's designed to accept like tiny bit of Monero for fee to be able to get on it. Let me see if I can find it.
Well, I think that's what isn't that what he used here? I assume. I think that's what this is. I believe.
No,
click on the link. What does the link go to? Is that just the relay?
I think the one that Tax is talking about is one that replaces the whole tipping with a Lightning Network mechanism with tipping with Monero.
Oh, really?
It has nothing to do. Well, I mean, there was an idea about something like that, like maybe a fork that replaced the whole tipping with Lightning with Monero.
Oh yeah, it was near Narrowster.
Yeah.
Yep.
The whole idea behind a paid Monero Nostr relay is just more like curating content and ensuring that you support the relay. It doesn't necessarily have to do with the tipping mechanism.
Right. Yeah, maybe we could have Alex jump on one of these days to give us an update on that. But cool initiative. Nice to see.
Who? Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to read this whole post. This guy, though, he ended up blocking me this week. He did a Spaces last Saturday after this show, and I jumped in on it. And it was a huge Spaces. I mean, the guy's got like, if you could click on him, I don't know, he's got tons of followers.
Yeah, I'm gonna click on him now.
He's an attorney. He's a professor, I think, at Duke Law School. And he did a whole Spaces last week on how basically saying we should ban crypto, particularly things like Monero, because of what we're seeing on how they're being used to fund terrorism.
It funds terrorism.
And he's putting in. I mean, go look at his Twitter feed. The amount of effort he's putting in pushing this initiative is is kind of scary, and he's throwing out a ton of misinformation. And his argument boils down to he just doesn't see the utility that crypto has to offer. He kind of sees it as offering zero utility, and the only thing it is used for is for like criminal purposes. So complete idiot.
There's an old man that doesn't understand technology, just like everyone else in Congress.
No, I think it's much worse. I think he completely does understand technology, and he's just an evil piece of shit that's out there trying to basically put forth this regulation because he stands to benefit from it. He works as a regulator. He consults these guys. He's the guy that would probably end up like writing the regulation when it gets written. You know, that's like this.
He's one of those people.
He's aligned with them to the point, but he sells himself as this patriot, American loving, liberty loving guy. He gave a whole spiel on his Spaces, like, guys, hear me out. I love America just like everybody else. I love free speech, but you know, he's a big Second Amendment guy. I mean, the hypocrisy, it just makes no sense. Like, let's ban crypto, which if you banned it tomorrow, terrorism would absolutely not go away, right? I think we could anybody would agree to that. Hamas would, you know, if you were able to go back in time and ban crypto
I don't think it would put a single dent.
It wouldn't have stopped Hamas from doing what they did or any other terrorists from doing what they want to do. But if you were to ban guns, not suggesting you do so. I'm a big Second Amendment guy myself. But if you were to ban guns, that would have a tremendous effect on terrorism overnight, without doubt.
No, it wouldn't.
But it would. It would.
It wouldn't.
If you could eliminate guns, it would be harder to mass kill people, right? I'm just giving you an example here, like of how absurd his logic is. Where he's a big Second Amendment guy, he sees the utility in guns and is willing to, live with the fact that guns can be used in good and bad ways. Yet he doesn't apply the same logic to crypto at all. But this is what we're up against, and it's unfortunate. And they don't even want to engage; they just block and move on and spew their propaganda.
Just like this. Well, he also wrote that he made the case that if crypto were so easy to track, then the tens of thousands of ransomware attackers would all get caught and all that stuff. But what actually, kills people is not the crypto; it's the motivation behind the person, the education, and then the weapon, like Doug said. So that's what actually kills people. And yeah, there should be way tighter regulations around guns. In Florida, you can just win guns like nothing, and all sorts of stuff like Oktoberfest. I've heard from a friend, and all kinds of stuff. They're so easy to get. It's kind of scary.
Any criminal that wants a gun, even if guns are banned, will have a gun, and then a normal person will not have a gun.
Yeah,
like your normal average law-abiding citizen would not have a gun, but every criminal on the street, you better believe, would have a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Same concept with crypto. These are just tools they can use for bad purposes and good purposes. And ultimately, and crypto is just a communication tool.
Mm-hmm.
So to think that by cutting off people's ability to have access to uncensored communication, that the world is going to be a worse off place is just absurd. And basically, you're saying you don't believe in humanity at that point.
I think based on what you said, it's kind of good if we skip to the chain analysis report, because it's very interesting, and then we'll go into the next one. So
yeah, the chain analysis report is interesting because it's a complete rebuttal of all of the points that guys like this are trying to make recently with the data, and it shows that the data is actually saying otherwise in terms of whether or not crypto is actually being used to finance terrorism.
So they said, although terrorism financing is a very small portion of the already very small portion of cryptocurrency transaction volume that is illicit, some terrorist organizations raise, store, and transfer funds using cryptocurrency. So there's no doubt that funds raised by terrorist organizations, no matter how small, are significant, and every method should be investigated. This is, of course. Then what is interesting is that they make the case that they also talk about service providers and how obviously a service provider is not made for, you know, terroristic customers. They're just made for anybody. And then if, you know, if terrorists choose to use them, they do. And then they also had.
Well, what they're talking about there too is with the service providers is talking about how it's, if you can kind of go back down to that section, how it's being misquoted and misused. So they're showing these service providers. The untrained eye, it might appear that 82 million worth of cryptocurrency was raised for terrorist financing in the example above, but is much more likely that a small portion of these funds were intended for terrorist activity. So they're looking at all, like they're saying, all right, the service provider had $80 million worth of crypto flow through it. Therefore, $80 million worth of crypto is being used to finance terrorism because some portion of it we know is connected to a wallet that's associated with terrorism, which is completely absurd.
It's flawed.
So
Yeah.
maybe it was only $100 worth of crypto that went to that wallet that was associated with terrorism, and it went through this service provider that has hundreds of millions of dollars going through it. So now the stats that they're putting out there, like this guy John, whatever, is saying hundreds of millions of dollars are being used to finance terrorism with crypto. Completely misconstruing the facts, which is, you know, this guy, he's well educated, he's an attorney, so he's literally purposely misconstruing these facts. That's the thing, right? That he's willfully out there spreading misinformation about this for the purposes of trying to rally people around banning cryptocurrency, when in reality there's no data to show why you would want to take steps like that, given the effect it would have.
Should be honored to be blocked by him. Clearly, you were a threat.
Yeah, but you know, we need to be out there, you know, responding to this guy and spreading the truth, because unfortunately, he's going to make progress. Because people don't have the time or to actually look into these things and understand them on a deeper.
That's the good thing about the internet. He has a platform that he can talk on and he can ban you from, and you have a platform right here, right now, that we are talking on, and that your message gets out and what you want people to know gets out.
Yeah, for sure. But the only problem is we're in silos, right? We need to get to his people, the people that are listening and following him. Yeah.
Yes, but with anything these days, do those people want to hear our message? See, that's the thing, is we've got to consider the fact that there's a lot of people in this world who do not want to hear the other side. They want to agree with one thing and one thing only, and gosh darn it, that's all they're going to agree with, and there's nothing you can say or do to convince them otherwise.
Yeah. It's really a meme war at the end of the day. It's an information war and a meme war. And I don't know, for the general public, unfortunately, I would say they're winning in that meme war. If you're, you know, and the meme being cryptocurrency is used to fund terrorism. When I ran for Congress, that's one of the things that happened to me. It was after I ran. I had somebody anonymously sent a letter to every single person that donated to my campaign, with a big picture of me and a picture of, I think it was like ISIS or whatever, and they're holding machine guns, and a big Monero logo, and saying Doug Tooman supports Monero. Monero is used to fund terrorism.
Unfortunately,
if you don't donate to his, if he runs again and you don't donate to his campaign again, you won't hear from us. If you do, you will. And then threatening everybody. It was wild. It was bizarre. It was crazy. I don't know where it came from and who's behind.
It's like soft blackmail.
Yeah, I mean, it took a lot of effort. It took a lot of effort to do that. I'm talking, they actually physically mailed these letters to all these people, and it was I was getting phone calls. It's scary to get a letter like that, anonymous letter with pictures of people holding machine guns, and you know that you wrote a check to this guy, and now you're being threatened, saying if you do it again, you're going to hear from us.
Oh my God. Really sad.
It's basically really terrorist activity.
Is that even legal?
Yeah. It's really awful that, like, these kinds of things, like, the general public just doesn't see these kinds of things until it's too late.
Yeah.
And then they're either screwed or they have to fight with each other to get anything.
So that's why I say it, right? So it's like we could say, all right, well, it's good he blocked you, blah blah blah, but we have to be out there spreading our meme. I know we do it, and we're constantly trying to grow our community, but we got to get out to the masses, man. They got to know, they got to understand. Granted, if Monero's ever banned, we'll keep pushing forward, but we don't want to get to that point. People should need to understand that Monero is a good thing. It aligns with the values of open and free societies. They need to hear that meme.
Well, moving on with again on Israel, because we have a couple more to go through. This one is particularly interesting. It's from the U.S. Department of the Treasury, and so they said today the U.S. Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control (OFAC) imposed sanctions on 10 key Hamas terrorist group members, operatives, and financial facilitators in Gaza and elsewhere, including Sudan, Turkey, Algeria, and Qatar. Now, what is interesting is that they mentioned so Treasury Janet L. Yellen said the U.S. Treasury has a long history of effectively disrupting terror finance, and we will not hesitate to use our tools against Hamas. We will continue to take all steps necessary to deny Hamas terrorists the ability to raise and use funds to carry out atrocities and terrorize the people of Israel. That includes by imposing sanctions and coordinating with allies and partners to track, freeze, and seize any Hamas-related assets in their jurisdiction. So what is kind of, okay, inherently, obviously it's a good thing. If humanity was actually overall benevolent and we would have something like Monero, but then we could somehow disrupt terrorist activity as well and, get along in this way, which is not happening, then that'll be great, of course. But then now we have something like Monero with which you can donate to Hamas if you want to, or you don't. So you get to have that option, fortunately and unfortunately. Now, what this basically means is that the US, which is a country far away from Israel, they can manipulate, they can track, freeze, and seize people's money within a whole different country. So this is international, which means that your money is really not safe. Now, again, of course, this is Hamas, and they shouldn't get any more money to do the reprehensible things that they do. But just as a thought that they can manipulate your money no matter where you are, and it's the US that is manipulating that money. I'm sure Israel can do it as well, but just like that it's an outside entity that can do it as well, which is interesting.
Yeah, another good point. Back to what we were saying before, and this action is what is now being spread around the internet as another example of needing to crack down on cryptocurrency because of funding of terrorism. So if you scroll all the way down, they do talk about how crypto is used, and so you had people like John out there quoting this article. But if you actually read it, it even says in the action that's taken here, it basically says how the lion's share, the vast majority of assets that these quote unquote terrorists were using, or what was being used as a means of financing them, were things like shell companies that were set up, these fake companies where hundreds of millions of dollars are being flowing through them. And then they get to the cryptocurrency part and they reference one wallet that received, I think, $2,000 worth of cryptocurrency that they have proof of. This is after
so much terrorist financing.
This is after explaining how they're using all these other methods they've traditionally done since before crypto even existed. Hundreds of millions of dollars that are flowing through these essentially fake companies that are being set up. But that's not the part that's talked about. It's what's referenced is the crypto part where it was $2,000 worth of crypto. I want to be clear though too, I think the argument of saying, because some people are out there saying, well, crypto effectively isn't used to fund terrorism, and I agree with that. As of today, it's really not if you look at the data. But the fact is, it's going to become the lion's share at one point. It's just a better form of transacting value, right? That's why we're all here. That's why we use it. That's why we like it. It's a better tool for those purposes. So it's going to, at some point, be used more for those purposes, just like it's going to be used more for everything else, right? We're going to use it for everything we do on the internet. And so we need to get ahead of that and realize that the final argument isn't that crypto isn't used for funding terrorism. Other things are. It's that, okay, it's a better technology for transacting value. And we need to talk about all the good things that come with that, just like the internet, right? I mean, the internet is used by terrorists, but we don't sit here and talk about how we should ban the internet and get rid of the internet. We talk about all the good things that the internet has done for society and will continue to do society, and all the great value it will give to society. And that's the ultimate argument that needs to be made for crypto and Monero in particular. Not that it's not used and it's barely used for terrorism, because the fact is that at some point it will be used.
Yeah, it's about the education of the person, not about, because I mean, terrorists, they use shoes. Should we ban shoes? Should we ban toothbrushes or certain things? It sounds crazy. Or I mean, guns don't shoot themselves.
I have a solution. Ban water, all the terrorists die.
Yeah.
So does everyone else. But maybe that's what they want, right?
Oh my God.
Well, they do want population control so that we don't hurt the environment. So that's possible. They want to kill like 3/4 of humans on Earth.
Oh my God, that's a whole nother discussion too. And then
one reason. Sorry, but one reason that maybe terrorists aren't being funded more with cryptocurrencies today is that basically many of them get funded by governments. Which don't use cryptocurrencies as much. So that's why we are not seeing more terrorist financing with crypto. It's just that the governments don't.
So what you're saying is that the governments are the terrorists.
I'm not saying that all governments are terrorists. I'm not naming names. I'm just saying so that it's the same like with money laundering, you know. It's like, what's the most offending cause of money laundering? It's like HSBC, not Bitcoin or Monero or whatever. So I don't see I don't see any closer that the adoption of cryptocurrency by terrorists or money launderers or narcs or whatever, just because basically it runs on fiat by design.
Exactly. Good points. So once the government starts using crypto more, then those numbers will go up. Biden just printed up $100 billion to give out to fight in Ukraine and fight in Israel, right? But nobody scoffs at that because we're not terrorists.
Yeah, and talking about Biden, so Senator Elizabeth Warren joins more than 100 lawmakers to ask Biden about plans to prevent crypto finance terrorism. Now, again, in itself, obviously we don't want terrorism to be financed in any way, which is either through crypto or traditional finance. We don't want that to happen. But this is their plan, to create the problem and then to show you the solution. So what is the problem? Well, the war. What is the solution? Well, I think now we should crack down on crypto finance, terrorism, and all this stuff. So it's all planned. It's not like, this war erupted and now all of a sudden, I think we should look into this now. No, it was all planned from before, that we want to crack down on crypto. We want to essentially make it into a form of CBDC eventually. That's what I believe with most of them. They can do it with Monero. And then so that eventually you're just going to use their CBDC. And that's what they're trying to do. And they're using this war as an excuse that now they care about terrorism and they want to help and all this stuff. So this is what basically this article talks about. And then we have so why Elizabeth Warren is wrong when it comes to Israel and financing terrorism and all this stuff. I couldn't see the whole thing because I need to pay, unless I go to the archive actually. Thanks Tux for that from last time. But even this part is good if I read. It didn't take long for the media to zero in on Hamas's cryptocurrency fundraising, notably via the stablecoin Tether. Elizabeth Warren and Roger Marshall leaped at the chance to use this revelation to boost their crypto regulation bill. But their attempt to exploit the October 7th attacks to advance their legislative agenda is misguided. There's no evidence that crypto is used more often or more effectively than the traditional banking system to finance terrorism. Hamas acquired crypto on transparent blockchains, not via private blockchains and crypto privacy tools such as Monero or Zcash. Hamas use Bitcoin and Tether, which are both transparent. So, as we discussed, this is about just boosting their crypto regulation bill, and not necessarily that they actually, in my eyes, that they actually care about the terrorist acts themselves.
That article was written by J.W. How do you pronounce what's his last name? Vert.
Lavert. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's a big Zcash guy. He also a big Monero. He's into Monero as well. I feel like he's slowly moving over to Monero from Zcash. He was on Monerotopia at some point. Interesting guy, good guy. He's out there trying to make arguments for us, for the other side.
And he made very, very good arguments as well. So,
yep.
Then we have FinCEN proposes new regulation to enhance transparency in convertible virtual currency mixing and combat terrorist financing. Again, some more terrorist financing. So today, the U.S. Department of the Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network announced a notice of proposed rulemaking that identifies international convertible virtual currency mixing, CVC. Mixing is a class of transactions of primary money laundering concern. So today's actions underscores Treasury's commitment to combating the exploitation of convertible virtual currency mixing by a broad range of illicit actors, including state-affiliated cyber actors, cyber criminals, and terrorist groups. More broadly, the Treasury Department is aggressively combating illicit use of all aspects of the CBDC ecosystem by terrorist groups, including Hamas and Palestinian Islam Jihad. And this is what it basically talks about. And the lack of transparency surrounding international CBDC mixing activities and acute money laundering and national security risk, and increasing transparency in connection with this activity is a key component to denying illicit actors access to the U.S. and global financial systems. So
I don't know if we could bring Bawdy up. We could quickly. I mean, this is just another huge story. So much is happening, right? I mean, the government is really mounting their attack right now. It's crazy that this dropped this week as well. FinCEN proposing these new regulations where the way it's currently drafted is extremely broad. I read the whole thing, what they're proposing. It could be, you could look at it and you can interpret it as the way they describe a mixer as including even the Monero protocol itself. It's written so broadly. Bawdy, are you there? Can we bring Bawdy up?
I don't know if he's there. He's here.
He's in the room. Oh yeah. Hey, Bawdy, you there?
Hey, Bawdy.
I know you took a good look at this as well. I saw you tweeting about it. What's your overall take on this?
Yeah, so it certainly seems coincidental that in combination with the OFAC declaration and the bullshit about how crypto is this massive terrorism financing tool, and now there's the mixing aspect here. Good on you that you read the whole thing. I also read it. It seems like their language is just getting more broad when they issue these declarations. So this is proposed rulemaking. Obviously, it's not rules yet, but if implemented, right, all of the FinCEN nations will have to implement some version of their guidance. I was trying to see if I could figure out, was there any direct reference to Monero? Obviously, they talk about mixing. So there's this one excerpt that I'll just read really quickly. It says that they kind of list A, B, C, D, E of things that could be determined to be mixing. And the one that caught my eye was C. It said using programmatic or algorithmic code to coordinate, manage, or manipulate the structure of a transaction. How broad is that? Sounds like anything to me. That sounds like any cryptocurrency. Okay, but it says this method involves the use of software that coordinates two or more persons' transactions together in order to obfuscate the individual unique transactions. So that very much sounds like it could involve Monero. It continues. This is one sentence. Sorry, sort of pausing here. It says to obfuscate the individual unique transactions by providing multiple potential outputs from a coordinated input, decreasing the probability of determining both intended persons for each unique transaction. So I think like in an SAT style contextual reading of what this says, Monero would not be included, but that kind of doesn't matter because of how broad the entire paper is written. It seems like they're trying to capture basically everything. But the odd thing is that despite mentioning darknet markets extensively and ransomware and Tornado Cash and Bitcoin Fog and I think like one other, they notably avoided mentioning Monero in any capacity. So
I don't even think they use the term. What is the term they use? Anonymity enhancing cryptocurrencies, AECs. I think they're calling them, right?
Yeah, they avoided the usage of that term.
Yeah, they didn't say that either. But yeah, you're right. It is so like so. If you look at just before the such as examples, which you're going through, and they have pooling, and then the one that you mentioned. Before those examples, they just say the definition of CVC mixing. The term CVC mixing means facilitation of CVC transactions in a manner that obfuscates the source, destination, or amount. Sounds familiar, right? Yep. Whenever I'm describing Monero, right? This is literally the three pillars I talk about. Involved in one or more transactions, regardless of the type of protocol or service used. So that part, I think, is what captures Monero. Just the initial definition above. If you scroll above to, I think where you are, where they just say the definition of CVC mixing before they go into the examples of such as. It's an extremely broad,
very purposefully broad.
Definition. Yeah, I'm trying to fully understand the implications. So this is, obviously this is just a draft. This is a proposal, but they're saying, if this were to pass, it's basically regulations that essentially like exchanges would have to follow, right? And if they, it's basically going to increase the amount of reporting that they're going to have to do if they detect that some crypto transaction had previously gone through CVC mixing, then they have to report that, right?
Here's what I don't understand is that I thought that these regulated exchanges were already required to collect my name, my social slave number, and date of birth and all that crap. Like I thought they already had to do that. So what's the difference here?
Well, the difference is anytime there's an action, so they already have all your info, but now anytime you would send like, I guess, crypto to the exchange, and now they have to put in the due diligence to now figure out whether or not it was previously mixed. And if it was, they then have to send that instance to the federal government saying, Bawdy just sent us crypto that looked like it was mixed.
And how far back do they have to go? Because it looks like whatever, like 10 transactions or something like that or something like that is going to be mixed, like 1 in 10. So like you can go like 10 steps back or 6 steps back or whatever, and you're going to find a mix somewhere.
Right. They list so many things too. Like they talk about single-use address, peeling, chain hopping, intentionally programmed delays, and they even use the word structuring. They talked about like multiple small transactions to the same person, that much like you would try and structure to stay under the $10,000 limit, when you're sending to a bank or someone. They even talked about structuring. So it's like it almost might be so broad as to be practically useless, because then exchanges will just give every transaction to to the IRS or whoever, to the government, which I kind of assume that they're already doing anyways. I like that's your adversary in a lot of ways. You just have to assume that they have all that.
Right. And really what this does is it gives all these chain analysis companies more work, right? This is a huge government contract, like a huge contract basically coming down the pipe for them. If this were to pass, they would now all these exchanges, they're already using chain analysis, but now I guess they would have to use them even more so they could be in compliance.
Up until chain analysis gets debunked in court with all these court cases saying that, hey, this does not actually work. And then the government's going to be, then people are going to be upset because the government spent all this money on these chain analysis contracts and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't seem to matter, though. I think this still pushes ahead. Even if we have another arm of the government, the judiciary saying, well, we have court cases where we have proof that this stuff doesn't really work. It seems like this arm of the government still pushing in this direction, where they want this regulation to be passed and this due diligence to be done, even if it technically doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, they can still use parallel construction. Parallel construction is where they use illegal spying methods that they created in the Patriot Act and all the other acts of Congress since then, where they're spying on you illegally. You don't know about it and you can't challenge it in court because it's top secret and you can't bring that data to court. They use it to construct a case against you, but parallel, they feed that information to law enforcement so that law enforcement knows where to look. So they can like find the probable cause they need to get the warrant to look at the thing, pretending as if they hadn't used illegal methods the entire time. So like the chain analysis that does work, that might not have ever even be brought to court to be challenged. You know, like chain analysis is a broad set of tools that these companies use to try and track transactions. So some of them are crap, and I would be very careful right now. So for example, the Romanov case, is it Sterling Romanov? I can't, with Tor Eklund. Yeah. That could be a psyop, right? That might be a psyop by the government trying to like bring some terrible, like some crappy chain analysis to court so that people think, oh, chain analysis doesn't really work, when they're like, yeah, but really we've got the stuff that does work. We just brought this to psyop the crypto people. I think that's a legitimate possibility given how badly the government has bumbled this. Now the government sucks and they're often incompetent anyway, so they could just be that, but I'm just wary.
Well, we'll be talking about this a lot more. We don't have to talk about it anymore here today. I'm going to have Seth on, I think, next week for a Monero talk, and he's going to be posting an article on this, so I'll have him on, and we'll beat the dead horse that it is.
Okay. So what do you guys think about the EU demanding Meta and TikTok trying to curb disinformation from Israel-Hamas war? This is very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's, you know, the government getting involved, trying to be control information, right? Wanting to be the central authority on what is truth. It's dangerous. I mean, you go on social media, there obviously is a problem there with things that are false being spread. We talked about this last week, right? And AI and how it could be used. But at the same time, do we want to live in a world where there's one central authority that decides what is and is not the truth? That's
We're at war with East Asia.
Yeah, it's not like Meta and TikTok are gonna pull up the history books and then they're gonna go over every single, piece of information and be like, okay, this is misinformation. This, that's not going to happen. Now, what we don't want to see, of course, is live streams from, with live killings and terrorist attacks. We don't want to see that, of course, but so there should obviously they should, of course, go against disinformation, but
well, I mean, information's information. I don't know where I stand. It's people need to decide whether or not they want to see that information, and then people need to decide whether or not they think it's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Also, a lot of people just go on TikTok and all these platforms, and whatever they see first, they believe that is true. But most of the time, it's just the same reheated burrito over and over again that people are trying to use for likes, even though they probably don't even know what they're talking about. And then you just get more of that algorithm. So
we're just transitioning into a phase where nobody believes anything. That's
everything's a psyop.
Yeah.
Kind of thinking, like, even the books I'm reading, I mean, history and all that stuff, is it even true? Why am I allowed to read it? I'm always so wary about this stuff, Then we have, I'm going to play this in a little bit, Edward Snowden on Bitcoin, but then let's just discuss some more things and then we'll go back to that video. The end of lbry Inc. So
this is a perfect example. This is the opposite end, right? So you have things like TikTok and stuff where they're being approached by governments and being forced to censor, and governments are asking them what information they can and can't keep up. And here you had lbry, which is a project that effectively doesn't allow that to happen. It's censorship resistant. Anybody was able, well, I say was, but you still can, able to post videos up there. It's essentially a decentralized YouTube. it did quite well. I thought it was a very impressive project, but they're being the company that ran it is being forced to shut down because of the securities law. The library token was basically labeled as security, and they're being forced to shut down and sell off all their assets. But the underlying tech is still up and running. The decentralized system that runs library is my understanding.
So clearly, if you're going to do something like that, you need to not be in the United States or not be in a country that's going to deal with that, or you need to make it completely decentralized with no head to cut off, like the internet and like Monero.
Right, and don't formulate it in a way where it can be interpreted as being a security, right? Which is basically what you're saying, right? It needs to be truly decentralized. It can't have a token where, you know, we've gone through this many times on the show, right, where we talked about how things are being labeled securities, and unfortunately, library fell strongly into the definition of what is security, and they weren't able to avoid that.
The picture that they posted is kind of funny though. So it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he says, "You can't win, you pathetic life form. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine." And then they wrote, Obi-Wan Kenobi said this to Darth Gensler in CEC versus Star Wars 1, right before he was struck down by an antique weapon. Security laws.
Yep. But the end result is the tech is still here, and now it essentially is pivoting into the decentralized version of itself. Because the corporation library will no longer exist. The library token, my understanding, will no. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. I don't think the library token will exist any longer. I don't exactly.
The library token will continue to exist.
Oh, will continue to. Can you explain what's going on then? Maybe you have a little better insight into all this.
Yeah, so Library, the company, they issued the library token on a, I don't know which blockchain it was on. I'm assuming Ethereum. It's basically just a smart contract. So it will continue to exist no matter what.
But the central authority that was benefiting from the sale of the library token will no longer exist.
Right. The company that is in charge of making had made the thing in the first place will no longer exist, but the platform, the blockchain, the token, all that stuff will continue to exist, just without a captain to steer the ship. So now the captain has become everybody and not just one single corporation.
How is the library token done? I haven't even taken a look at it. I mean, is it crashed to basically zero, or it's actually doing okay?
I wouldn't know.
Let's look into it. Okay, let's look on 7 days.
Yeah, I mean, you do a chart of long term. It's
okay.
Yeah,
this
so
is a long term.
That's where that you can see where the SEC action took place. Yeah, do all, view all.
Yeah.
So
2018 bull run.
Oh wow, it's from 2016.
I mean, these were just the bull runs, but
wow, even hit $1 at some point.
But this is, library is an example of a crypto project that actually worked, though, right? I mean, it actually provided utility, and I believe it still will. I think it's gonna. I don't think it's going anywhere now that it's more forced to be more decentralized. I think it's will continue to grow and be used.
For sure, I hope so.
We post all our Monero content on there. We've been doing that for years, actually. So I think we actually have quite a bit of library tokens because I think we get them every time we post videos or something.
Wow. Sure. So now let's also discuss this post by Joseph Cox. He said, an incredible court record pulls back the curtain on a $30 million underground Bitcoin exchange running for years in the heart of New York. Massive bags of cash, drive-by pickups. This is what real criminals use, not services like Coinbase, which is true.
Yeah, I thought this is right in my backyard here in New York. They're basically running like a local Bitcoin operation where they were transferring millions of dollars worth of cash for Bitcoin for years. And they're talking about how it was basically allowing dark market vendors and stuff to turn their crypto gains into cash, into dollars. We've seen quite a few examples of this, right? People getting busted for this. So, be careful out there, right? We always talk about the most ideal way to purchase your Monero is with cash, but you don't want to be in the business of selling Monero for cash. There's a big distinction there, right? If you personally need to convert Monero into cash, as far as I understand, even here in New York, there's nothing illegal about that. You could peer-to-peer trade Monero for cash. But if you're in the business of selling Monero for cash, then you're a money transmitter at that point. You need to be properly licensed. Otherwise, you're essentially laundering money, right?
And so clearly what you need to do is you need to get into Monero, and you need never to leave the cryptosphere anyway, because the problem comes up when you try to leave and go back to fiat.
Exactly.
So really, you should just not go back to fiat. You should buy Gratuitous. You should buy your eggs from Gratuitous. You should buy your coffee from Gratuitous. You can buy your cars. I think I read this week that one of the luxury car brands is now accepting Bitcoin. I want to say it was like Lamborghini. That was it. I was about to say Jaguar, but I'm like, no, I don't think that's right. Yeah, Lamborghini now accepts Bitcoin.
Just like Honda from a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
That Honda Civic with your Dogecoin.
All right. I think is that the news? A long news section. We knew it was going to be.
Well, I want to play just a bit.
Oh yeah. Play a little. Yeah.
Like 2 minutes and then that's it. We covered a lot, so okay.
That we see being played out. We need to look at more fundamental things we've been aware of for a while, but people simply haven't confronted, they haven't combated, they haven't engaged with the strong and sort of meaningful way.
This is Edward Snowden at the Bitcoin conference.
That is risky, but it is necessary. Bitcoin has a privacy problem. Everybody knows it, and for as many years as I've been giving these talks now, it is still unfixed. The world has a privacy problem. Okay, so what do you do about it? People in the room go, let me do a coin join. I'm going to erase this by shuffling these around. And, I'll do 200 levels of mix-ins or something like that. Cool, yes. I am proud of you for knowing that it's possible, but no, stop. That's not what we're looking at. Contorting yourself to be able to pass through the keyholes of the tyranny that is surrounding us. That's not the solution. The goal is not to, wake up in the morning and be blessed with the perfect suite of knowledge and skills that will allow you to dance through the Byzantine hell of smartphones, evil, invisible, perfidious network traffic that is diming you out to everybody they can without asking your permission, just in order to be able to interact with society in some approximation of safely, right? You go, oh, well, I've got VPNs and I've got these things that they're blocking this. I'm using ad blockers and I've got a hardened browser and whatever. That's not the goal. And it only benefits, the smallest minority fraction. When we talked about, the old case of Lenin and these people who were, sort of putting their axe on the ground, it comes from the collective. There has to be a mass. There has to be enough people. And the more exclusive your community becomes because of the burden of knowledge that it requires to participate in it, the smaller that collective will necessarily be. And we need to recognize that the status quo of the world it is, whether it's the way sort of on-chain privacy analysis is happening, and they're tracking cross-chain transfers, and you see people tweeting this stuff out. So, oh, look, this person moved this, that person moved that. That's not normal. It's not acceptable, but it is here. It's inside the room. It's on your phone. It's in your pocket. It's on the Wi-Fi. It's the cameras that watched you walk into the venue that now have vehicle recognition and person recognition baked into the algorithm. It's on the chip. It doesn't even cost the manufacturer anything extra to add in. They just got to enable the software.
It is everywhere.
So you should definitely check out this video. It's 28 minutes long from Bitcoin Amsterdam, and I'm happy that Edward Snowden actually mentioned Bitcoin's lack of privacy at the Bitcoin conference.
Of course, he couldn't dare to possibly mention the orange crypto that solves most of its problems.
Only Zcash.
Especially not at a Bitcoin conference. But to be fair, he didn't even mention Zcash.
Yeah, I think he's
kind
moved
of
away.
stayed away from. Yeah.
He might have mentioned Zcash. I don't know. Did he mention it? He might have.
No, he didn't. I watched the whole thing.
Okay, yeah, I watched it too. I forgot that. I told you guys though, right? I tried to get him on the show like years ago, and we did talk to his people, and we almost got him on. He was almost willing to get. He wanted to get paid like 10 grand or something. I forget what it was.
25,000. I think it was 25,000.
Yeah, it was like 25,000, and then actually considering trying to make it happen. I spoke to some people in the Monero, like, would we like raise the funds? Would have been ridiculous in retrospect.
He's just a celebrity at this point.
And he was unwilling to do it when I told him I'd pay you in Monero. And then everything went cold after that. Like, would you be willing to accept Monero for the payment? And the whole thing.
I mean,
deal fell apart.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I understand that he has to live. Like, he has to have money for rent and money for groceries and stuff like that. I get that. And speaking engagements, basically, from what I understand, are now his life because of the fact that, like, to my knowledge, at least, I don't think people would take him for a regular job. So speaking engagements kind of has to be his life. So I get that, but that is a little bit extreme.
Yeah, just go figure out how to turn it into
35K for like an hour or two.
Go live off. Like, here you are. You're out there. You're the guy telling everybody that we need to basically opt out and move into a private digital cash, and you're not willing to use it yourself.
Yeah, this is why some people think he's like Fed or like a part of a psyop or whatever. Which I mean, I don't know if that's true, but it's like he'll dance around like actual solutions, right? Like there's a lot of things he'll talk about, and like the biggest one is, like in crypto, and he'll like dance around like Monero. It's like, I think I've heard him mention it once or twice.
Yeah. How are you not out there talking about Monero all the time if you believe what he purports to believe?
Of course, he was on like some initial Zcash founders board or something, right?
Right.
He was one of the original signers on the initialization ceremony, or I can't remember, whatever they call it, the something ceremony. There were 7 of them, and I'm pretty sure he was one of them.
Yeah, he was. He was. Should be the default on any piece of software. Well, sounds like Monero. All right, let's move it along. Let's get the special guests up here.
Thanks, guys.
Still around. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. And we're gonna get. Is Anhdres still around? Or did we lose him?
He is. He's in the backstage.
Okay. Yeah, get Anhdres up here.
You ready, Anhdres?
Yes.
All right, and we got our guest. Hopefully they're still here. That was a long news.
I know. It was a long show. We're going on 3. We're gonna hit 3 hours up today.
I'll go ahead and run the guest segment.
Yeah, run the guest segment.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
All right. Alessandro, how's it going? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. We wanted to bring you on. We know you're making a lot of progress with Monero down in Argentina. We wanted to get the update on how things are going, how things went with your fundraiser, how you ended up putting that Monero into action, and what you're thinking of doing next. Tell us.
¿Entendiste esa? ¿Vale?
No,
No,
la verdad que
bueno,
no.
entonces te traduzco a vos también lo que dice. No, básicamente quiere un update que le digas cuáles son las novedades, qué noticias tenés y cuáles son las próximas cosas que vas a hacer.
Bueno, déjame que me presente primero. Puedo hablar un poquito en inglés igual. It's a pleasure to be here at Monerotopia again to talk about our team and Monero. Sorry for my English. In the matter, my grade was always is one. Es horrible mi inglés, así que bueno, básicamente hemos culminado el objetivo de la recaudación del proyecto que habíamos publicado el 16 de junio en Twitter. Ya en ese momento era Twitter, todavía no era X.
Basically, the objective of the whole fundraising that we did it on Twitter, it's already fulfilled.
Awesome. Yeah, can we bring up Tux? Can you bring up pictures on his Twitter?
Let me pull that up.
And amazing videos too, like very well done videos. Put a lot of effort, I could tell, into making those videos.
Muy buenos videos, dice.
Muchas gracias. Nos esforzamos mucho por darle la mejor calidad, por hacer la mejor producción posible para toda la comunidad, por la confianza que me dieron a mí para hacer esto.
Thank you. We made a lot of effort to make the best quality possible for you or the community that help us to make this possible. So yeah, they wanted to present it in the best light possible, since they got the
look at this.
The thing painted and the whole.
Yeah, Tux, try to pull up the pictures so we could show exactly what they did. I mean, so they have Monero uniforms for their soccer team. They basically updated their stadium and used Monero colors and the Monero logo, and also they called out people from the Monero community that gave them donations. Tux, if you could pull up those pictures, we could show everybody.
Give me 1 second, my thing closed.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Hold that back up. There we go. All right.
Si quieren arrancar por el video del baile de folclore.
Yeah, maybe play that video.
Yes. He says that maybe you want to play the first video to play is the one with the dancing. Yes.
Oh, okay, with the dancing?
Yeah.
Is that this one?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so that's everybody that or not most of the people, I guess, that donated to his campaign is Kuno. And this is in the stadium. You guys did a really good job at painting it.
Dice que hicieron un muy buen trabajo pintando las tribunas.
Muchas gracias. Sí, el objetivo era más o menos mostrar en grande los logos de Monero y Libertad y los nombres. El pintor hizo un muy buen trabajo y mi miedo era que les guste, que no les guste a ustedes, a la comunidad, así que por lo visto les gustó a todos y estoy muy contento por eso también. Y darle el folclore, era la idea mostrarles un poco la cultura acá en el norte, cuál es el baile tradicional. Yo sé que muchos conocen a Argentina por el tango, pero aquí es donde más se baila es el chamamé y la chacarera. Así que quise mostrar eso.
The main objective was to be able to show you everybody how nice it actually looks in reality. I mean, the colors are also the shields, the logos from Moneros and the club as well. So the video guy did a really good job about that, but the idea was also to show some typical dancing, which to most people, when they think of Argentina, they think of tango, but that's actually from basically Buenos Aires. This is in a province in the north of Argentina, so that's the actual typical dance from that region. So they wanted to show some culture of the place as well. And he was very nervous about the fact that everybody was pleased with everybody that donated, that was pleased with the way that the names show on the actual seats. So
yeah, I think you did an amazing job with that. I think everybody knows you're trying to do your best with being fair and how you portray all the names and everything. An amazing job, man. Amazing. Wait, where's the applause? Tux, can you give the applause?
You got the other one too.
Dice que hiciste un gran trabajo, con la forma en que lo pintaste, que todo el mundo está muy contento y con la forma en que lo mostraste también.
I know. I'm certainly inspired. I'm going to be going down. I guess I can announce it now. I'm going to be coming down to Argentina. I'll be hanging out with Anhdres. Anhdres is giving a talk at La BitConf. I think you announced that right on Twitter, so I could go ahead and say that. He's been giving a Monero talk. You could tell people about that, but that's tremendous. I mean, La BitConf, like thousands of people go. He's gonna be on stage teaching people about Monero. I'm coming down there, Sunita and I, really for two reasons. One, we want to do recon for the next Monerotopia to see if we end up doing it down in Argentina. And two, to go to La BitConf and kind of make connections, see what's going down there. But would love to, Alessandro would love to potentially come visit you, come to your town and see what's going on there. I don't know if you want to let him know that in November.
Te estaba contando que van a venir Doug y Sunita a Buenos Aires para la BitConf también, así que van a estar acá en noviembre y también para hacer un poco de reconocimiento para Monerotopia, a ver para evaluar la posibilidad de hacer la Monerotopia en Buenos Aires en un futuro, pero que también están evaluando la posibilidad de a lo mejor pegarte una visita por Formosa.
Me encantaría. Es un lujo para todos nosotros acá en Argentina que quieran hacer el Monerotopia. Tienen un gran representante como es Anhdres y sería espectacular. Sí, ya me lo ha contado en la publicación anteayer. Y sí, es bienvenido. Si tienen el tiempo, me encantaría ir a la BitConf, pero no, además yo no conozco Buenos Aires, yo iba a conocerlo en agosto y el tema de la tribuna, las camisetas y trabajar acá con los chicos me cortó el viaje. Conozco Asunción, conozco Santa Cruz de la Sierra, conozco Brasilia, pero no conozco Buenos Aires. Caso único lo mío. Y nada, que es bienvenido. Es bienvenido. Si quiere venir, lo espero con los brazos abiertos.
Yeah, first he says that we are very honored that you're considering Buenos Aires, Argentina for the Monerotopia conference, if it actually happens. But only the fact that you're already considering it's great. That he will be pleased, very, very pleased to welcome you in Ibarreta, in Formosa, if you come. Sadly, he won't be able to be at that BitConf in Buenos Aires because with the whole thing about the club and things that he's dealing with right now, he couldn't make it to Buenos Aires. Actually, he doesn't know Buenos Aires. He knows many other places around the place, even Brasilia, but he never been to Buenos Aires. So it would be a nice thing, but sadly he won't be able to make it to a BitConf.
Yeah, no worries. Hopefully I can make it to you. I know it's not exactly right around the corner, right? It's like a 2-hour plane ride from Buenos Aires to his town.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Argentina is a big place. Andres was
2-hour plane ride.
It is big.
Sí.
Dice que desgraciadamente,
si quieren,
no desgraciadamente se va a acercar a vos, pero como que al principio no sabía que era un vuelo de 2 horas hasta Formosa. Pensó que era más cerca de Buenos Aires, pero que se va a acercar.
Perfecto, la vamos a estar con los brazos abiertos, la vamos a preparar una picada, el corto tiempo que pueda venir, vamos a hacer un recorrido por algunos comercios, que hable con algunos chicos, también que hablen con los chicos del club, y vamos a compartir algo seguramente. Si quieren, le puedo comentar más o menos.
You will be received with open arms in his place. And you will be invited. You will be invited a picada, which is actually our kind of like entries with salamis and cheeses and wine and all those things. It's the thing that you ate before the meal. By the moment you get to the actual meal, you're not hungry anymore, but you keep eating anyways. Take into account that our meals are actually like 2-3 hours long.
I will bring a hungry appetite. No worries.
You are more than welcome to visit him, and he promised that he will show you around and also connect you with all the local shops
Amazing.
places adopting Monero.
Yes, I could do. I'll do some shopping when I'm there. I'm sure. I will definitely do
I'm
some
sure.
shopping.
And he wants to make an announcement or something.
Yes, go ahead.
Dale, al anuncio que querías hacer.
Y en una de esas también justo haya partido, en la fecha que si cae fin de semana, tal vez juegue Libertad. Así que...
Yeah, if you come on a weekend, maybe Libertad is playing. So.
Oh, that would be amazing.
You will be able to see a soccer match.
Bueno,
yeah,
God, I just say soccer feels like dirt in my mouth.
Si quiere puedo comentar más o menos el segundo video.
Okay, he will be commenting the second video now. Tax, if you can show the second video.
Yeah, let's go ahead. I switched my browser. I don't know if the audio was working last time. Hopefully it is this time.
Nope, it works.
We'll pause, Bunny.
I dress like this. I'm not gonna change.
Every day. This is your normal routine.
If you don't like it, I don't care. I'm just dressing like this.
Now he's telling me the version, too, right?
What anybody says, I don't care. The music says. I'll do whatever I want with my life.
Tú criticando y yo en portadas de revista. Me importan muchas cosas, pero tu opinión no está en esa lista. Y salí con piquete de artista y Luis Button en el backpack. La combi flat. Tanta suerte debería jugar blackjack.
Yo mientras estoy tomando tereré acá con el calor que hace.
He's drinking tereré because it's very hot right now in Formosa. Tereré is the cold mate that you drank in Prague. That actually your daughter was selling. Yes, for Monero. It's cold mate brewed with ¿qué fue? Naranja, ¿no?
Si se acuerdan de ese chico de Agustino, el que cruza los brazos, era que habíamos hecho el video cómo mostraba cómo cargaba saldo en las casas de apuestas y después pateaba el arco como si fuese de rugby.
One of the guys that they are showing there at like the first row is one of the guys that was charging, like getting credits for the betting house in Monero.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask him next. How's that going? Are they seeing usage of the betting platform with Monero? What's? Can you give us the update on that?
Yeah, quiere saber que cuál es la, digamos, en la actualidad que está pasando con el tema de Monero usándolos para las apuestas o no, si eso cambió en algo, si aumentó, bajó.
Bueno, básicamente el boom de Monero en las apuestas ha bajado el uso porque han cesado los bloqueos por parte del gobierno a las casas clandestinas online y eso ha reducido que la gente que aprendió a usar Monero haya vuelto al sistema tradicional peer-to-peer, pero muchos se quedaron y esos muchos son un volumen razonable en el cual se sigue manteniendo el Monero, siguen usando Monero, holdean Monero, va a conocer seguramente cuando venga, va a conocer jugadores que holdean Monero y algunos comerciantes y básicamente es una... Sí.
Actually, usage for bets went a bit down because if you remember the story, the main reason that they started using Monero was that the government had cracked down on illegal betting houses online. So they had to use Monero to bypass the regulations. So they went back to the previous regulations. So now it's actually allowed to do them again.
Oh,
So
interesting.
some of the need for Monero went down. So some people, especially he said, some of the lower amounts, people using lower amounts for betting, stop using Monero. But since there got some actual adoption or traction there, many people kept using Monero for the whole betting thing. But also, since they got some exposure to Monero, they learned a bit about it. Some people are now actually holding Monero or using Monero besides the betting thing. So if you come, he said that if you come, you will be able to meet some of the players that are actually now holding Monero.
Fantastic.
That is awesome. Those two videos are super well made, by the way. Los videos son muy buenos y muy bonitos.
Muchas
Lo siento,
gracias.
yo hablo muy poco español.
Traté de mostrar en los videos de los jugadores la esencia misma. Yo no salí en los videos porque lo estuve coordinando, todo lo que había que hacer. Esto es una presentación que lo suelen hacer jugadores profesionales con directores generales atrás. Yo traté de la idea sacarla y hacerla yo, indicándoles qué tenían que hacer con respecto al video. Y salió muy lindo, a todos les encantó.
Yeah, thank you very much. We tried to actually do our best with the whole video thing. The guys were excited that they got to do things that actual professional players do, like posing for the camera.
Yeah, well, they did a good job. I mean, it looks like
yeah. They were very excited, and the reason that
wall,
he's not. The reason that Alessandro is not on camera is because he was actually coordinating the whole thing and telling everybody what they have to do or directing somehow. So
very good job.
But it was the first time for most of the players to do something like that.
Con lo último que quedaba con las donaciones, pagué el servicio de filmación y fotografía, así que di lo mejor de lo mejor ahí.
With the last bit of Moneros that they had left from the donations, he actually paid the video guy, the video and photo guy.
Oh,
okay. Hey, look, there's Andreas.
Nice.
I am there.
This is like so cool. Like it's like
Monerotopia's
a
up
little
there.
thing, but it's like so cool.
Does he have any plans for like what's his vision? What is he thinking? Does he have other Monero ideas, other ideas for how to grow adoption in his community? Things that he's thinking about?
Te pregunta cuál es tu visión, cuáles son tus ideas que puedas tener para aumentar la adopción de Monero en la comunidad por ahí. ¿Qué otras ideas o proyectos tenés?
Yo lo he comentado en el video abajo, en el hilo que he publicado de la presentación, he comentado el trabajo que venía haciendo, además que fue orgánico lo de las apuestas, sino que agradezco mucho la idea de la gente de la comunidad de incentivar a los comerciantes que lo tengan como un medio de pago, aunque no estén acostumbrados aquí a eso, habilitar eso y abrir un camino y unas puertas a tener esas opciones y que...
If you go lower in the thread, yeah, you could see the work that he's been doing and referring to with the adoption, especially on like normal shops, which wasn't easy at first because they're not actually used to receive or use crypto for payments and stuff like that. But they got into it eventually, and some people are using it.
Estamos en un momento también en el cual justo coincidimos en una campaña presidencial, el lanzamiento de una moneda digital, y estamos nosotros acá en Libertad justo desde el norte. El impulsor de la moneda digital es del Chaco, de unos kilómetros aquí cerca nada más, y parece de todo como si fuese una película que acá en Argentina esté saliendo la batalla, arrancando una batalla, así que...
Déjame que menciones. Actually, he's saying that everything is a bit connected in a weird way, because the team or the people behind pushing that legislation, like proposed legislation for the CBDC in Argentina, actually originally comes from Chaco. De Chaco dijiste, ¿no? ¿Qué es originalmente?
Sí, el Chaco. Carlos
actually comes from Chaco, which is another. It's the near province next to Formosa, That's the team behind. They made he told me before that that team made a proposal for like a local cryptocurrency for Chaco, which actually works like a CDC, and now they are like at country scale trying to push that. It's the team behind the whole project.
Wait. I'm sorry. I'm what did they do? I missed that explanation.
Remember the news in the news segment that the first news was something about a proposed CBDC for Argentina, the digital peso or something like that.
Yeah.
He said that he was actually he knows that some people behind that because are from a neighbor province. Chaco province is next to Formosa. The team originally comes from there. They are really tried before this to push for some provincial level currency or things about a CBDC kind of thing, and now that's the team behind the proposal for doing that at country level.
Oh, okay.
Which for context, I should say that we are running an election right now. Like tomorrow. Tomorrow. And that's only one proposal from one of the candidates. You know, so for the past couple of months, especially the last couple of weeks, like they are throwing any kind of shit to the wall to see what sticks for all candidates, right? So you cannot tell what is real, what is not, what they're actually trying to do if they win or something like that. So, but one of the candidates, actually the candidate that runs for the government, so it will be like the current government, is saying that if he wins, he will propose a law to make a CBDC in Argentina.
Una idea que tengo.
Good luck.
Yeah. Well, so what do you guys feel about this election? I mean, you're on the ground there. What are you feeling in Buenos Aires, and what are you feeling in Formosa in terms of who people are going to go out and vote for?
Te pregunta qué te parecen las elecciones, qué sentís y cómo te parece que se van a impactar o cómo se van a ver las elecciones ahí en Formosa.
Bueno, me parece que es un cambio de época muy grande acá en Argentina. Un cambio desde lo cultural directamente, son muchos años de un país inclinado hacia la izquierda, hacia una idea socialista, comunista, y que ya una gran masa de jóvenes, ya desde los 13 a los 30 años, ya han tomado una postura clara sobre qué país quiere, y creo que se va decantando un poco lo que puede pasar mañana, y Formosa no es la excepción. Por más que acá se tiñe otro color, abrazan mucho la idea de la libertad a la gente, y creo que van por el candidato libertario. Esa es la visión que tengo sobre lo que puede pasar, y que vamos a ver qué cambio trae, si el cambio es importante y puede cambiar un poco la realidad que tenemos en lo económico.
He says, I will try to remember everything. He says that he thinks that it's what we are feeling right now. It feels like a very big change of an epoch, so to speak, because for many years we had I think he said like 20 or 30, but it would be right. For 20 years or so, we had left-leaning governments. And right now, what you feel on the ground basically is that, and even more so, young people, is like a change of culture somehow, because it feels like they are embracing the ideas of liberty and like especially like right-leaning liberty, so to speak. Of course, the concepts of lefts and right are very relative to each country, so don't take it with a US kind of ruler. But yes, he says that he thinks that especially young people are embracing that, and what he feels in the ground in Formosa is that most people, even though the local provincial government has just won like a month ago, the left-leaning so-called like traditional party won the government, the election for the provincial government. even though so the people are actually very used to the ideas of free market basically and embracing that.
What do you guys
Algo.
think
Yo
it's gonna?
no,
Okay, go ahead.
para
Sorry.
agregar algo, yo no sabía que el señor Doug fue candidato al Congreso en Estados Unidos. La verdad que no me había dado cuenta en el perfil y que es una inspiración grande para mí porque yo también tengo una visión de querer cambiar, ingresar dentro de no por ahora ni mediano ni en el largo plazo tal vez, también aspirar a eso, a llegar a donde los cambios se hacen profundamente y donde uno puede tener más peso, mucho más peso sobre las decisiones de la gente más para darle las herramientas y poder cambiar un poco la realidad y abrir un poco más la cabeza de la gente en cuanto a herramientas financieras, que como lo puede ser Monero, como lo puede ser Bitcoin, y impulsar mucho más eso. Yo sé que vienen muchos cambios sobre eso acá en Argentina y se va a impulsar mucho más, pero ser uno de los actores principales sería un sueño para mí.
He said that he actually didn't know that you yourself that ran for Congress before on a libertarian or liberal like platform. So that when he found out, he felt very inspired, and that not now, but of course sometime in the future, he would love to follow your footsteps, so to speak, and try to get into politics. I think he said something like trying to be in the place where things actually happen, or when you can actually modify the reality somehow. So he felt very inspired by you particularly to do so, and he wishes to be a part of the future conversation where, because he thinks that, or he sees that things are going to change. The crypto and Bitcoin and Monero and stuff like that will be part of that future. So he wants to be in the place where those laws or the public opinion could be shaped in a way that is better for everybody and not for the now people are in power.
Amazing. He's in the right place at the right time to do it too. What do you guys think it means for Monero if Melee were to win? I mean, do you think he's ultimately a Monero guy? He's spoken about Bitcoin. Do we know? Is like this? Does he have a really good understanding of crypto and understanding that Bitcoin is traceable? Do you guys have any insight into that?
Un poco lo que dice es que pregunta qué te parece Milei como candidato en el sentido de si te parece que va a abrazar un poco la utilización de Bitcoin o la utilización de Monero, si es pro Bitcoin, pro Monero.
Yo creo que Javier Milei tiene conocimientos sobre Monero, aunque no lo haga explícito. Sí trata de orientarse más a Bitcoin. No creo que él lo haga de curso legal a Bitcoin, no lo refleja así él tampoco, es más abraza como crypto friendly, como uso libre, lo haría en caso de un eventual gobierno. Por ahí se puede contradecir un poco en el modelo financieramente hablando de la moneda que quiere utilizar, que es el dólar y demás, pero yo creo que con el correr del tiempo él va a abrazar un poco más a Bitcoin y dentro del poder que va a tener, impulsar un poco más esa adopción, que sea más orgánico, que la gente misma vaya incitando a usar Bitcoin, Monero. Ojalá que no otras monedas que pueden ser un poco shitcoin, así decirlo, pero con Bitcoin y Monero creo que sería suficiente ya.
Basically, he says that he thinks that Milei is aware of Monero, though he never mentioned it anywhere. Of course, Bitcoin he is, but not so much seeing the official adoption of Bitcoin as a like official currency or something like in Salvador or something like that, because it kind of it's opposed to what he's been preaching about adopting the US dollar as a kind of like a legal tender here for many things. although he keeps some hopes that by just making it easier or more free to people to actually choose whatever currency they can use, that would bring some organic adoption for crypto. And he hopes that when people do, they are not choosing shit coins basically, and they are choosing like proper crypto like Bitcoin or Monero. I myself kind of like half agree with that view. I think that it's kind of easy to see someone like Milei compared to the other politicians here as a crypto-friendly politician. I think that basically, I don't know how that would be seen from different countries, or like Europe versus the US or something like that. But if I had to explain what the instance is, that compared to whatever you have here, basically Milei is as far right as you can be, right? Especially socially. It's libertarian or liberal, mostly in the economic sense, or in very like philosophically discussions about private property, freedom of choosing whatever. But if you see from Europe, for example, it would be very conservative, not liberal, not liberal in a progressive, like let's do people do whatever they want. So basically, for example, it's against abortion and stuff like that. I mean, so it's like it would be seen as conservative from some like sense, or liberal from the more economic sense. And regarding crypto, what he's actually proposing is more like freedom of choosing currencies for people,
which is great.
Which is great.
Yeah.
It actually happens de facto. De facto happens here, you know.
Right.
But yeah, so it's like
Andrés,
you don't care. Like,
hablando.
Basically, laws here are guidelines. I already say that. So it's like, it's illegal to actually sell and buy USD in the dark market, but everybody does that, or crypto, everybody does that. So the change that he's proposing actually bring to Congress or to government, if he actually wins, is to kind of like let people choose which currency they want to use for any transaction. So in the sense of big transactions today, they're already made in USD. For example, if you buy a house or if you buy a car, nobody pays that in pesos. It will be like 4 trillion pesos to buy a house or something like that. So it doesn't make any sense, right? And the price would change every day, basically. Right. So it's not comfortable. It doesn't make any sense. So people already do whatever is expensive in USD. So what he's saying is that not so much as doing well, at least not what he's saying. Not doing the whole Salvador thing, or doing the whole Ecuador thing, like just adopt the USD as local tender. More like saying we are not going to prosecute people for using USD for anything. So do whatever you want. And he's saying that people will, based on the history, people will actually choose the USD and not using pesos anymore.
Bien, un poco estamos entre tres candidatos en los cuales uno promueve una moneda digital, otra candidata de otro espacio promueve una moneda digital en dólar basado en la comunidad Stellar, y el único candidato que nos queda es el candidato libertario, que un poco puede estar del lado de una moneda que pueda contrarrestar todo eso. Así que los dos caminos son bien claros.
¿Quién está? Bullrich tiene una moneda de Stellar.
Bullrich está claro sobre Stellar, sobre la organización Stellar.
He says that basically you have 3 main candidates with chances to win the election, and one of them is proposing a CBDC. The other one is proposed like a semi-stable coin based on USD but running on Stellar. I have no idea. And the third one is Milei, which is proposing something that actually is basically good for people.
Right. The choice to choose.
The choice to choose. Yeah. Basically.
Do you think the peso has been falling for quite some time, but it's been falling more dramatically recently. Do you think that's a kind of a bet on the election as to where it may go?
You always have. Now, if you want, I can say to Alejandro, but traditionally in Argentina, we have devaluations of the peso like continuously, right? But every time when we approach an election, any election, it's worse, right? Because people fly the peso and go to whatever they can. Even I don't know, air conditioners. I mean, people just get rid of the peso as fast as they can, right? In this particular election, since out of 3 candidates are expressing not liking the peso as a currency, it's like, yeah, your bets are 70% or more that in 2 weeks or a month, if you go to a second round, the peso is going to be worth even a lot less. So what we've been seeing last week, even yesterday, which was the last working day, is a lot of transactions, both in the regulated market and also in the black market, of people flying the peso for USD, basically mostly for USD.
I want to buy my pesos now with my Monero. Maybe I can.
When you come here, you will learn a lot about that. But if I want me to give you like a little piece of information that I tweeted about it yesterday, which I thought it was very interesting. We had like a black market rate for pesos, for USD against pesos, because actually you don't have like a legal market for normal people to do so. I mean, you have, but only a very few specific kind of people can actually sell pesos for USD in their bank. So of course you have a black market rate for pesos, right? For dollars, the called blue dollar. And what happened is that for the past few weeks, of course, the market rate for blue dollars went through the roof, because supply and demand, people are buying dollars and selling pesos. So the price in pesos goes up and up and up. And since everybody is looking at that market rate as a kind of like a temperature of how well or how bad the government is doing and how likely is it to win the elections, and everybody prices things in USD somehow, so the prices in pesos of everything are going up for the past weeks, more so than even before. We are like above 12% inflation monthly, right? So above 140% yearly inflation right now. So what the government did is unofficially, for the past week, just the week before the elections, he's been like cracking down on illegal exchange houses, or at least saying so, right? So pressuring people. Some news went out about like people going to prison, or at least detained for illegal market. They never do something like that. The government doesn't touch that. So in the news and everywhere, and you have a lot of like web portals that display the market rate for that illegal dollar. What happened this week is that for the first time that I've seen, the market rate displayed on websites wasn't the one that you can get in the streets for the blue dollar. So it was stuck at 900 pesos for $1 for like several days, and people started to get suspicious about it. It's like, no way. And if you call one of those houses or you try to trade with anyone, nobody's going to sell you USDs at those prices. So it was the first time that the illegal market rate was off. And what you could see is that, for example, this is the first time that we had an election with USDC and USDT traded 24/7 besides the banking system, besides even like the illegal little cuevas shops for blue physical dollars. So this runs without any kind of regulation, and you saw the rate for those prices going up to 1,200, something like that. So it's like a lot of difference. So people started to stop referring to the actual blue rate. So now you have a black market rate of the black market rate, so to speak. The government trying to intervene in that price because it looks like everything is going to shit. And now you have the crypto dollar market rate, which is actually reflects more accurate what is actually going on the streets. So I think that's like a pretty wild cautionary tale of whatever you try to do to artificially manipulate a signal, which is basically the price of something in a market. Now that we have crypto, it just spills, like it's going through the cracks.
All right, guys. Well, I'm rooting for Melee. I think that would be the right way to go for Argentina. We'll see what happens. If he doesn't win tomorrow, if he doesn't get enough votes, but he gets close, then they continue the election, right? He needs to get a certain percentage. When would you know? Like, what's the kind of the date that you know you'll finally?
You have to win in this first round. He needs to have, I think, over 50% of the votes, which is weird. It's hard. Or he has to have, like, I think above 40% of the votes and more than 10% than the second candidate.
Mm-hmm.
If he managed to do so, he wins in first round. It's kind of difficult. It's not impossible, but it's kind of difficult. Most likely scenario will be a second round in a month.
In a month.
With just two candidates, right? The first, the second place.
Oh wow! So it would actually be after
Yes.
La. Okay.
Tengo para hacer unos anuncios.
He wants to make some announcements.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. And then we'll call it here. We're at 3 hours. Go ahead.
Bien, me había preguntado qué proyectos tenía para al comienzo hoy para Libertad y qué otro trabajo se podría hacer con Monero. Yo le había comentado que tenía una idea de que tratar de buscar y encontrar a una persona, un bitcoiner, un apasionado de Monero también, por cada pueblo, o tratar de incentivar a que haya uno por cada pueblo, y no solo acá en Formosa, que sería un trabajo para mí.
Vamos mechando así queda bien claro.
Sí.
Pedacito.
Vale.
You ask what he had in mind for the future, and he had an idea that is to find someone that likes or wants to use Monero or Bitcoin in every town in the country. Go, dale.
Sigo.
Sí.
Y bueno, esa es la idea para que en cada localidad se vaya trabajando de esa manera, donde si cada vez que alguien quiera conocer un poco más sobre Bitcoin y Monero, una moneda trazable que no se puede hacer rastreada, que quiera esas propiedades, tenga una persona cerca de su localidad. En la ciudad es mucho más fácil porque buscando en las redes puedes encontrar, pero en Argentina es muy grande. Yo creo que este trabajo se debería hacer en todos los países también, pero creo que es una modalidad que podría funcionar bastante, y es dejar preparado un terreno donde tarde o temprano se va a tener que dar una batalla contra una moneda digital en cada país. Eso es inevitable y creo que hay que tener una respuesta.
He's saying that we have to have a response to the whole menace of having a CBDC or a digital currency implemented in the country. And the way to do so is to have basically on every town and also in every city, but in the cities it's easier because there are just more people there, but also in as many towns as possible, someone that knows about Monero and can teach people how to use it, and basically laying the ground for organic adoption if it comes to that, or people have to find an alternative to a controlled digital currency.
All right.
Bien.
Yeah, great
Bueno,
idea.
Well, quick, let
para
me
eso ya
show their oh, sorry.
para eso ya necesitar mucha logística, pero eso vendrá después. Ahora estoy un poco más centrado en lo que es el Club Libertad y justamente lo de las camisetas. Bueno, ya están a la venta las camisetas.
He will need more logistics and efforts to do so. Of course, that will come in the future. But right now, he's focused on the club and the whole jerseys.
All right.
Bien, las camisetas están publicadas en Monero Market. Vienen con envío incluido. Les va a llegar un paquete así con la camiseta y con el escudo de Libertad con un sticker.
Jerseys are published in Monero Market. Jerseys are published in Monero Market. They're already available, and they will come like that, packed on a bag with a free Libertad sticker on it. And
pueden encontrar la camiseta de arquero y de jugador conjunto. Tengo 3 pedidos de que he hecho la publicación de diferentes países y ya están en proceso de realización y ya en estos 5 a 10 días ya se la voy a estar enviando. Así que muy contento de empezar eso.
You can buy either the normal players and also the goalkeepers version of the jersey. And he already got 3 orders. And I don't know if I said, but he says that it comes with free international shipping.
Wow.
Y que espero que muchos la compren, que insisten a comprarla. Es una tela espectacular. Pueden personalizarla con su número y su camiseta.
The international version of the jersey.
Ustedes.
The international version of the jersey is more expensive because it comes on basically on a better kind of fabric, more professional kind of fabric, which would be too expensive for Argentina, basically. And that nobody would buy it, and that you can personalize the jersey on the back with your desired number and your name as well.
That's amazing.
También que me la promocionen sería un golazo para mí, y que las ganancias de la camiseta en este caso van para mí y que todo lo que se dona al club, yo he dejado en los comentarios el link con la dirección de Monero para donar al club en modo BeerPay. Está en el perfil de Twitter y es la misma dirección la que dejé en YouTube. Después me falta uno más y ya termino.
If you actually can promote the jerseys, that would be a very nice thing for him if you could do it, because the earnings from the jerseys actually go to him, but he set up the BeerPay cake system on Twitter in the Libertad profile, and that goes to the club. That doesn't go to him. That's 100% for work or things to do in the club.
Okay. Look at this, guys. You can compare this camiseta bonito por Monero hoy.
¿Qué pasó?
He's just branded a jar of tereré with the sticker. Okay.
Bebida de Paraguay el tereré.
Which is a very Paraguayan drink to have.
Y con respecto a qué se viene, bueno, tengo muchas ideas. El predio, cuando lo conozca, si es que llega a venir, lo va a conocer, es grandísimo, tiene 100 metros cuadrados y hay muchas cosas para hacer. O sea, hay gente que se me sumó al club con ganas de trabajar, de abrir otros deportes. Voy a publicar, Andrés ya lo sabe, pero voy a empezar a publicar unos videos sobre algo interesante, que si ustedes prestan atención a los videos, van a notar que no hay luces, pero se van a encontrar con algo más dentro de unos días. Y si querés eso, y agrego algo más y ya.
He said that since the whole thing started, a Monero thing in the club, the club, many people approach him and approach the club again because they see work being done and things changing, and they got very enthusiastic, and now they are looking into branching even more sports. I mean, if you come there, you will be able to see that the place is actually very big. He said something like 100 square meters or something like that, the field. And in a couple of days, he will be releasing a video or photos that will show you that something special happened with the lighting system in the field. And just one last thing.
Okay.
Que sepan que voy a salir en busca de sponsors, porque queremos abrir una escuelita de fútbol infantil, reactivar. Después, yo sé que hay mucha gente que me pedía que transmita los partidos, y voy a tratar de que una compra sea orientada a comprar una buena cámara para transmitir los partidos. También hay gente que le gusta el básquet, que me lo había comentado en publicaciones anteriores, y tenemos ya las camisetas de básquet, ya las tenemos, y vamos a tratar de reactivar el básquet en Libertad también. Así que espero...
No, dale.
Espero el apoyo de la comunidad siempre, para poder seguir trabajando.
People don't need to worry that he's actually looking for more sponsors, and there's some interest already. And what he's going to do with the sponsoring he gets is to open up again a football school for kids that were already in the place before, and now it's kind of like reopening. So they want to push towards that. And also the club has a basket team that already has their shirts, the t-shirts. But the other thing that some people asked him was to how can they watch the matches, to stream the matches of the team. So with some of the money of the donations, he's looking into buying a better camera, some system to be able to stream the matches, so people can watch it from anywhere.
Awesome, that's fantastic. Maybe we could stream an episode on the Monerotopia channel.
Yeah, dice que a lo mejor lo pueden streamear los partidos en el canal de Monerotopia, de Monerotopia.
Sería increíble, para mí sería increíble eso. Así que bueno, por mí ya hice la promoción de las camisetas del club, vamos a seguir trabajando. Le agradezco de vuelta la invitación a Doug. Vamos a seguir hablando porque vamos a ver si viene. No sé cómo vamos a hacer nomás con la voy a llamar a mi traductora de vuelta. Así que más o menos ya vamos a tener un índice de charlas, así que...
Okay. He really thanks you, Doug.
Si no, de última me voy yo para Buenos Aires.
Dale. He really thanks you, Doug, for basically the space that you gave him to be able to talk about the jerseys at the club and everything he's doing. He's very, very grateful, and he hopes to see you here if you come and visit him. And he's already in talks with the translator that he got the first time of the first interview that you made. So by the moment you get here, the English is better and you can communicate more fluently. So, and if that doesn't work, he will try to come to Buenos Aires. So
okay, yeah, we'll figure it out. Alessandro, thank you so much, man. It's amazing what you've accomplished here. You're always welcome to jump on Monerotopia, give us updates, let us know what's going on down there, any thoughts you have on how to continue to spread Monero in Argentina. And very much looking forward to meeting you in person. I hope we can make it happen. I will take 2 of those jerseys. I'll DM you. Hopefully I'll just be able to get them from you in person. We can get one for me, one for Sunita.
So cool.
Thank you so much, man. And Anhdres, thank you as always. Thanks for interpreting. And looking forward to seeing you too soon, man, in person. And I think we'll wrap it up there, guys. We're well over 3 hours at this point.
I got one more thing, one obligation. Sunita made sure she really wanted me to announce this. Cake is having a meetup.
Good.
Yep, less than 2 weeks in Chicago on November 2nd. It is free. There's still 27 spots left.
Yeah, it looks super awesome. I think they're having Justin Berman.
They are having Justin Berman, and Luke will be there.
Sunita and I unfortunately can't go because we have something to do here in New York before we head out for Argentina. So November 2nd, unfortunately, we won't be in Chicago, but definitely looks like an amazing event for anybody that's somewhat in the area. I recommend you try to make your way over there. Should be cool.
I will be there.
I've never been to Chicago, believe it or not. No.
Tengo la bandera con la que comenzó todo aquí, a ver.
He has the flag that started it all.
The
original flag from the first photo.
Awesome. Vic would be happy to see that. All right, guys, we will wrap it up. We do these shows every week, Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern. As you know, anybody that ever wants to jump on, you're free to jump on during the guest segment, or if you want to be a special guest and you have something to present that's Monero related, please reach out to us. We're open to any and all projects and ideas, and we'll keep it at that. Thank you, everybody. Thanks to everybody that participated.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and Odyssey, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or join us in the